Alright, hello, welcome. My name is Shaina. I'm an astrologer, and today I am doing a continuation of my little free Learn Astrology course. Okay, this is the third episode. If you haven't seen the first two, I'll link them in the cards up here, basically talking about what is astrology, you know, tropical versus sidereal, as well as how to read your birth chart. So coming into this video, hopefully you have a little bit of background information. All you need is the background information that I shared in those two videos, because today we're talking about the 12 zodiac signs. Now that we're not talking about the sun signs. I feel like people are going to constantly be like, I'm a blah 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 sun and that doesn't relate to me, or da 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 da. Okay, this is not the energy in the sun signs. This is the energy as a whole, what the energy means, what it encompasses. I'm going to teach you pretty much all you need to know to have a super duper solid foundation, if not even an intermediate level knowledge of the 12 zodiac signs in astrology. I'm a tropical Western astrologer, and so that's what I will be talking about. If you don't know what that means, that's fine, but if you do, that's what I study. So if this seems annoying as hell for you to learn all this stuff and blah 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 blah, and you just want to know about yourself, okay? You just want to know about your birth chart, that is valid. I do sell birth chart readings on my website, shainaemily.com. I sell a bunch of different readings, tarot readings. I also have continuously still been really active on my TikTok. I've been posting pretty much every day. My TikTok is at shaina.emily if you haven't checked it out yet, so you can go over there. And then lastly, I have a personal Instagram. Okay, so basically I will be taking you through the signs 1 through 12, and I will take you through them in order because there is an order of the zodiac signs. And not only is it important to know the order of the 12 signs, but it's also just really helpful to know the order because everything in astrology is so intuitive. All the symbolism, all the patterns, all the personifications, all the metaphors, okay, they're all there for a reason. So knowing the order of the 12 signs is helpful for a lot of reasons, but also just in understanding them. And for each zodiac sign, I'll be going over a kind of like list of fundamentals that's great to know for each zodiac sign. Again, everything goes into itself. Everything is there for a reason. So what I'll be talking about with each zodiac sign is the glyph. Like if you go on your little like emojis on your phone, you see like the glyph. I'll explain to you why the glyph is like that, what it represents, all that kind of stuff. I'll explain the symbol because each zodiac sign has a symbol. I'll explain whether it's feminine or masculine. Now I'm going to link a TikTok that I spoke about feminine versus masculine signs down below, which goes into, I think, a great explanation. It's really, when I say feminine or masculine, I would say think of introverted is feminine and extroverted is masculine. It doesn't mean that you act like a girl or you act like a guy if you have this sign. It just means, in my head, I think of it more introverted expression or extroverted expression. I'll be talking about the element of each sign because there are 4 elements. There is fire, water, air, and earth. I will go into the modality of each zodiac sign. There are 3 modalities: fixed, mutable, and cardinal. Modalities are just basically about how they go about life, the action that they take in life, okay? Then I will be talking about the sign motto. Now this one, there are so many different sign mottos, and I feel like everybody makes up their own, and it's very like, I almost want to say like controversial on which one you choose, which one is like right. So I'm just sticking with astro themes. I just like them the most, so I'm going to use them. Then I will be talking about the ruling planet. The next video will actually be the planets in astrology, and when I have that video up, I'll link that right here. So I won't be going that much into the planets because I'll be going into them a lot in that video, but it's still good to know what the ruling planet is, as well as the ruling house. I went over houses in astrology kind of quickly in the last video. There are 12 houses in astrology to represent the 12 zodiac signs. And a little cheat sheet about the ruling houses in astrology. It is literally just the order in which the signs go. I will also be going over the sign's sister sign or opposite sign. Each sign has an opposite, which you would know what an opposition is in astrology if you watch my aspects in astrology video. See how everything just gets tied together in astrology? It all talks to each other. And lastly, I'll be going over which signs are harmonious with what sign and which signs are disharmonious with what sign. So if you want to know the classic, I'm a Gemini, my boyfriend's an Aquarius, are we compatible? That's what I'll be going over. Now, these are classic compatibilities. So what that means is that these energies as a whole are considered compatible. And spoiler alert, when signs are compatible, that means that they share the same element. And when signs are incompatible, that means that they share the same modality. So all signs within the same element element are compatible and all signs within the same modality are incompatible. Now, things are a lot more complicated than that. Just because you're a Gemini and your boyfriend's a Virgo, and those are technically incompatible because they both are mutable signs, which I'll go over this more, that doesn't mean that your whole charts are messed up and you'll never work out and blah, 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 blah. That might not even mean that your suns make a bad aspect to each other and are considered incompatible. I go over that a lot more again in that aspect video if you want to know more about that. But traditionally, I think it's really good to go over this so you kind of understand, again, more about the signs. And then the last thing that I'm adding, which is just kind of for fun, I'll be talking about celebrities with each of the sun, moon, and rising, just so you get a real life practical application of that sign or energy. And if you do not know what sun, moon, or rising means, I went over this. I went over this in my previous video, again, how to read your birth chart. And I actually will go over this even more in my next video, the planets in astrology. Again, they're all connected, guys, okay? This is just one piece of the puzzle. But enough intro, let's just get into talking about the 12 zodiac signs in astrology. Okay, so the first sign of the zodiac, that is Aries. And first of all, let's just talk about the fact that it is the first sign. This is so intuitive. Of course, the first sign of the zodiac is gonna say me first. Of course, it starts with the letter A, the first letter of the alphabet, because it doesn't want to wait around. Of course, it's impatient because it's the first one that people talk about on TikTok because it's the first sign. They don't want to have to wait through all 11 signs to hear about them. No, they're first. They want to be first. They want to be the best. They're very competitive. It's an individual. It's the number one. So it's all about me, what I am, who I am. I kind of think of in like really layman's terms. The Aries is very much the Neanderthal, very much the caveman. Ooga booga. I need to survive. These are the things that I need to survive, you know, basic necessities, and I am the best at surviving. Ooga booga, you know, that can be very Aries energy. The glyph looks like ram's horns because that is the symbol of Aries. Aries is very straightforward, okay? There's no fluffing around with Aries. They say it like it is. Their glyph is simple to remember and it matches the symbol, okay? It's one and the same. There are some where the glyph and the symbol are different. There's multiple glyphs and it gets confusing. Why would they do that? Why would Aries do that? It doesn't need to bother with that kind of stuff. It's straightforward, it's honest, it is what it is. Sometimes it's even a little blunt. And honestly, Aries can sometimes lack tact. Now, if this sounds like a masculine sign, of course it is. It's very extroverted, you know, me first, I'm standing my ground, I'm taking up space. Sometimes if we lack Aries energy in our chart, we have trouble standing up for ourselves and taking up space and setting goals and all that kind of stuff. Speaking of, Aries is a fire sign. Of course it is. It's passionate. It wants to go and get what it wants. It's fiery. It's explosive. It can be a very reactive sign, right? You say something small to Aries energy and it just blasts off the handle. You know, it's known for just getting mad and reacting and even like throwing things. But what I like about Aries is that because it's like so uncomplicated, sometimes it just needs to get upset and then it'll move on. It's not like some of the other signs where it'll hold everything in and get a bunch of resentment. No, Aries doesn't have time for that. Aries is just gonna react in the moment, explode, and then they'll move on, okay? And sometimes that's healthy. Now, other times, it's just, you know, throwing stuff around for no reason, getting angry for no reason. Its modality is cardinal. It's kind of the happy medium between mutable and fixed. Cardinal energy is all about setting goals. It's all about moving forward. Especially with Aries energy, it does not look back. It does not look side to side. Sometimes, you know, it's not paying attention to you. It's not paying attention to the future. It's not paying attention to the past. It is paying attention to what is happening right now. It is setting a goal for right now. What do we need to get done right now? What do we need to do right now? It is very much in the moment, okay? Now, sometimes it does have trouble like looking in the past and reflecting on itself. It isn't too bad at planning ahead because, again, it is very goal driven, but it does also have some trouble with being of awareness. You know, Aries can be a very tunnel vision kind of energy where you think about the Neanderthal. We need to eat right now. That's all that matters. We need to find shelter right now. That's all that matters. It is all about those main masculine survival skills. Its motto is I am, because why wouldn't it be? I am this is what I am, this is how it is. We don't need to complicate anything, okay? It rules the first house, because it's the first sign of the zodiac, also known as the ascendant. The first house in astrology rules the identity, also known as the rising sign, okay? This is how you come across, this is who you are, this is what people place upon you. It can be somewhat of a shallow house, as Aries can be somewhat of a shallow personality because they aren't really concerned with reading in between the lines and understanding complex emotional situations. They're just about what's at surface level, what's at the here and now. Its ruling planet is Mars. Okay, that makes sense. It rules anger, going after what it wants, getting what it wants, fighting, winning. This is a super duper competitive energy. Okay, now this is not Mars in the energy of strategizing, because if you think of war strategy, that's something else. Aries energy is all about, you know, being the Marine, right? Like, this is what we have to do right now. I will survive in this trench. I will survive in this crazy situation. Aries rules the head. Its sister sign is the 7th sign of the zodiac because everything is in pairs. If sign number 1 is Aries and Aries is I am, this is who I am, this is what I do, then of course its sister sign or opposite sign is Libra. This is who we are. This is what we do. This is what you do. Aries is of course me, and Libra is of course us, you, we, you know? Aries does not care about balance. Aries wants to be on top. I kind of sometimes think that Aries doesn't realize that everybody else also has consciousness. Aries is very opinionated. It knows what it wants and when it wants it. Sometimes it has trouble with how to get it other than saying, I want this now. You know, it can be the little kid having a temper tantrum saying, why didn't you take away my toy? I didn't want Dr. Pepper, I wanted Coke. The signs that it's compatible with are the other fire signs, Leo and Sagittarius. I think of the fire signs as the masculine signs. They're just all extroverted, all out there, all the time. They're really not gonna leave anything up to mystery. Aries is very much just your basic boy. I think of Aries as the frat boy at its most like basic level. I'm gonna do hot girls and I'm gonna do this dare. Like Aries loves dares. They can't back down from them. They love hazing. They love making other people look goofy and stupid, even though a lot of times they wind up looking goofy and stupid because they just don't think things through all the time. The signs that Aries is incompatible with are the other cardinal signs, Cancer and Capricorn. This is because Cancer is a very reflective sign. It lives in the past. Capricorn is all about climbing the ladder in a very respectable fashion. Aries does not care about respect. It does not care about, you know, reputation like that. It just wants to get where it wants when it wants to. And it doesn't really care about long term like Capricorn does. It's much more in the moment. So if an Aries were to date a Capricorn would be like, well, where is this going in the future? And an Aries would be like, I don't even know what I'm eating tomorrow, you know? Now let's go over some celebrities with this energy. So Aries sun celebrities. I think the most obvious is Hugh Hefner. He has one thing he likes and one thing only, skinny hot blondes. And that's what he made his life based on, right? The other person I think that displays this Aries energy really well, which this might be a little bit like out of our generation, but I had to mention him because he's an Aries sun, Aries moon, is Marlon Brando. If you hear about him and what he's actually like to work with, he is very much an Aries. He most of the time just shows up to set drunk and doesn't even know his lines and then just gives a fabulous performance anyways. You know, that would make Capricorn and Cancer mad because they spent all week learning their lines and trying their best. And Aries just came to the set and winged it. Also, his role in Streetcar Named Desire, that character specifically, such an Aries. If you know that play or if you've seen that movie, Aries all around, okay? And the last Aries sun I want to mention is Amanda Bynes. Oh, I think she felt uncomfortable with having to be such a masculine figure. You know, she was funny, she was doing gross things, all very like Aries, you know, and she never really got to take that like feminine role that a lot of times the other signs will, which is a place where I find a lot of Aries women struggle with, is their femininity. Some great examples of Aries moon, we have Cardi B and Amber Rose, who by weird chance have the same big three. They're also Aries risings. A lot of times Aries moon females, or just females with a lot of Aries energy, will do a lot of things like, yes, slut walk and my vagina and like, I don't know, they're just, you know, it's kind of tactless sometimes. Pink is also a great example of an Aries moon. You know, she's got this short hair, kind of gives like lesbian vibes, even though like she's that weird thing where she says that she's not. She's like flying around all the time. It's just very like Aries, you know? Ellen DeGeneres, another example, kind of similar looking to Pink, similar vibe there. And there were things about Ellen being like really cruel and hard to work with her team. Very Aries moon. They can be very shrewd to the point, not really care about other people's feelings, only care about their feelings and what they want. And I think the most typical, like, kind of like, classic example of an Aries moon, I've been getting into Jersey Shore, is Pauly D. He's just like a guy's guy. Now he's a Cancer, so he cares more about like primping and stuff like that, but he's just like, I'm gonna go out and get hot chicks and have fun. Okay, Aries rising. So I think the most perfect example of an Aries rising is JoJo Siwa. I know everybody hates her now, but she just is who she is, you know? She is cringe, but she is free. And she also has that like raspy voice, and she's also a lesbian, and you know, she doesn't really wear like super duper girly things. Now she does dress semi-feminine sometimes. She's still got Taurus energy in her. But you know, for her 21st birthday, she wore a construction outfit, which is so Aries rising. Now, on a more feminine aspect, it's not like Aries are only masculine women or lesbians or something. Rihanna is an Aries rising. Also an Aries moon as well. And she's just more like, got that like sassy Aries rising. Like, I don't want to fucking talk to you. I don't want to fucking deal with this. Like, I'm gonna just do me. Also, Aries rising are known for big foreheads. Just gonna put it out there. Now, the most like, you know, typical Aries rising that you'd think of, Shaquille O'Neal. He's an athlete. He's tall. That's all I know about him, but just had to bring that up. The second sign of the zodiac is Taurus. After the first sign, I am Aries. You know, I ate today, I have shelter, I have partner, ooga booga, right? Now that we can relax a little bit, because we have the main survival things at its core, we can go into the sign of Taurus. Okay, yes, we have shelter, but what does that shelter look like? Is that shelter nice? Is it comfortable? We have time to, you know, clean it up a little bit. Yes, I have food, but is this food good, or is it just, am I just eating to survive? Aries eats to live, Taurus lives to eat. Taurus wants to indulge in the things that it has. It's all about that kind of second step after survival. Okay, we're a little bit more comfortable. Now, how can we make this survival a little bit more enjoyable? Oh yes, I have this partner and they're like hot and we make babies, ooga booga, but I want to cuddle with them and I want to love them and I want to care about them, you know? Taurus is kind of taking Aries survival stuff and sitting down and relaxing and getting comfortable with it. Its glyph looks literally like bull horns. Taurus is also another sign, because it's just the second sign, that's very straightforward, very to the point, okay? There's very little fluff and bullshit with Taurus in a different way than Aries. Aries is just like, you suck, I don't like you, or I like you, you're cool. Taurus is more like, I don't like them, so I'll just leave them alone, you know, or I'll like them, and if they want to hang out, they can or not. Taurus is a lot more grounded. Its glyph and symbol are the bull, and that's because when Taurus finds its little patch of grass that it likes and is comfortable with, it just likes to chill there. It just likes to hang out. You know, it doesn't care as much about that patch of grass over there. Aries might want to go out and go trudge towards that other patch of grass because it wants it too, but Taurus doesn't really feel the need to do that. It likes where it's at, wants to find contentment. And the thing with Taurus, though, and the thing with bulls is that, you know, if you get them angry, if you get them upset, though, they're going to be pissed, because that means that they have to get up off of that really nice patch of grass. And so when they do, that's when you gotta be worried, okay? They're gonna storm right out you and they will be relentless, okay? Taurus can be really stubborn. I don't wanna move. This is my patch of grass. You go over there and find your own. I found this one. Taurus can be really set in their ways. Why do I need to go out and see if there's a better patch of grass? This is a great one. I've had no issues with it. Taurus is considered a feminine sign because it's much more introverted. As you can tell, it just cares about its shelter, its food, its person, its job, you know? It just cares about what it's doing. It's much more introverted in that way. Now, it is an earth sign, okay? This makes sense, okay? It's a bull. It wants to be very grounded, very stable. Taurus loves and lusts even after finding stability, finding something constant, okay? Now this can create habits. Taurus is definitely prone to habit forming habits out of comfortability, getting stuck in those habits, having trouble breaking habits, you know, not even realize that it's creating habits just because it's like, well, this is what I like to do. They can have a tendency to do the same thing all the time. And more than that, Taurus can have a tendency to be the same person that they've been since they were a kid. They've always just had these few similar traits, and they kind of rarely ever do grow up and out of them. There's this constant to them. And the reason why I see earth signs as more of the feminine, masculine energy is because Taurus does rule money, it does rule finances, because in this political sphere, I guess I'll say, money is a way to earn stability. It's a way to gain resources. And so Taurus is all about doing the job, and it is all about quality over quantity, okay? It has a few things, but those things that it has, it cherishes greatly, and it wants those things to be few but luxurious, okay? Tauruses can sometimes form a habit of collecting something, but most of the time, you know, it doesn't have 7,000 coats. It has 2 beautifully, lovely, well-made coats that they wear daily and that they take good care of. Now, of course, Taurus is a fixed sign. It can be very stuck in its ways, very stubborn. Like I said, I like this patch of grass and I'm staying here. And maybe that patch of grass after a while, you know, it kind of goes dead. There's not as much rain there anymore. And maybe if they just got up and walked a little bit over the corner, they would find a better patch of grass. But Taurus is not like that. Taurus is very, very loyal. And while that's a lovely quality, sometimes it's so fixed it can be loyal to a fault. You know, I chose this patch of grass, and so that's it. I'm sticking with it. Even if there are better ones out there, this is the one I decided on, so this is the one I'm going with. Taurus can have a tendency to stay in relationships for a really long time and never break up with anybody because they picked them. Stay with one opinion because they picked that opinion, and even if they know it's wrong in their heart, they're not going to change their mind. They're not going to say they're wrong because that's what they stuck with. Taurus's motto is I have. Of course it is. You know, this is what I have, this is what I own, and I cherish it greatly. It can be a little bit materialistic, but it sees its items as a lot more sentimental and has a lot stronger of a connection to them. It rules the 2nd house, which is the house of finances, of money, again, the things that you own. Also, I find that the 2nd house rules manual labor, and because it is the first earth sign, I also think it rules manual labor, you know, going out and doing that hard, dirty work. Now, a lot of times Taurus is called lazy. I think there are other signs, Pisces, that are far lazier in actuality, but Taurus gets this because it's a big bull. Like, it's not just gonna like get up just to like get up and frolic around. If it's gonna get up, it's gonna do something well. It's gonna be for a reason. And so Tauruses can sometimes have trouble starting things because they want it to be perfect. And again, quality over quantity. So I find Tauruses doing a lot of manual labor. They're usually built a little bit bigger. You know, they usually have really broad shoulders, all that sort of stuff. Taurus rules the shoulders. Aries maybe planted all the seeds, but Taurus is the one that has to take care of it and cultivate it. So I obviously have no Taurus energy in me. Look at this, you know? Its ruling planet is Venus, okay? Because it loves love. Taurus can really get like lovesick if it doesn't have somebody to cuddle and cozy up and watch its favorite movie with. Like, speaking of, Taurus can watch the same comfort movie over and over and over again, okay? They don't really like watching new movies. They love watching the same movie that brings them joy, that's kind of a little bit more predictable over and over with the same person that they've done it again and again. The Tauruses tend to be also very artistically inclined as well. They love specific like soft fabrics, luscious blankets. And I spent my whole week on this one box, and I'm so proud of this one wooden box, and it's so soft and lovely and beautiful, and I care about it. Now I get to store my things that mean so much in them, you know, very Venusian. Its sister sign or opposite sign is Scorpio, because Taurus is all about what I have, and Scorpio is kind of what about I don't have, or what we have, or what they have, you know. Scorpio can be very jealous and lusty, and it can sit on that patch of grass and go, I want that patch of grass, and I want that patch of grass. Taurus is like, who? Where? What patches of grass? I'm just on mine, you know? The signs that it's compatible with are the other earth signs, which are Virgo and Capricorn. And the signs that it is incompatible with is Leo and Aquarius, they square, and also Scorpio as their opposite. Now, you're probably a Taurus thinking, I've only dated Leo, Aquarius, and Scorpio, or something like that. Fixed signs flock together like nobody's business. They love to just stick together and get fixed on each other and say, we're both miserable and we make everyone around us miserable, but we're gonna stay here anyways. I don't know why, but more than the cardinal and mutable signs, fixed signs always pick each other and get stuck with each other. And this is just my PSA to say, stop making yourself so miserable and pick a sign that you're a little bit more compatible with. If I just clocked you, you should think about things. Or if I just clocked your parents that should be divorced, but they're not, think about it too. Okay, now let's go into some celebrities. So, Taurus sun, oh, totally Cher. I think of Cher just because very Venusian in her outfits and her presentation. Also her very much like, I don't need men sort of attitude. Yes, Taurus does rule love, but sometimes it can rule that sort of like strong standing on their own. You know, I worry about myself and I support myself financially. I've got my own resources kind of thing. I wanted to include Audrey Hepburn because most of the time we think of Taurus as the Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson type. He looks like a Taurus, okay? Big shoulders, big guy, he can haul some stuff, you know? But there's also the Taurus that is like Audrey Hepburn that I find to be very petite. You know, even her like simple elegance, you know, the little black dress kind of vibes. This kind of subdued, quiet elegance can also be very much Taurus as well. Now, Taurus, I didn't mention this, but they have a very complicated relationship with food. Okay, Taurus, you know, is very much in their body, you know, very aware of their body signals, whether that's sleep, whether that's food, whether that's emotions. They are actually much more in their emotions than people think they are because they are so attuned to their body's signals. You know, this is the most likely sign to get hangry by far. I think Taurus and Scorpio can both lead, especially if you have this together, with a lot of eating disorders and a lot of trouble with eating. They also like to eat the foods that they ate as a kid a lot. Trisha Paytas is a Taurus and she eats buttered noodles. That's the most Taurus thing ever, but she's very specific about how she eats her buttered noodles. All right, Taurus moons. Taurus moons tend to like to do things more behind the scenes. Not always, but I think a great example of a Taurus moon is Quentin Tarantino, as he's a director. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, or whatever it is, the fact that that movie was so focused on having every item be decade correct, and it was like such a focus on like opening the dog food and all that kind of stuff. That is a very Taurus moon approach. You know, even the Hattori Hanzo sword and the sword being such a big deal. Like they love their items, they love their craftsmanship, all that kind of stuff. And it makes sense to bring it in. He's an Aries sun. Violence and gore, you know? And then also Rob Zombie, I think, is very much a Taurus moon. Like if you've ever seen his house tour, you know, he has those weird eclectic items that he really likes and he cares about. But he's also very set in his ways. You know, the band broke up because of his stubbornness. Taurus rising. I think a great example of Taurus rising is Miley Cyrus and what she was kind of pigeonholed into. The, you know, approachable Disney girl. Now she's got a Sagittarius sun and Scorpio moon that's opposite that, so that's not what she wanted to be with the Bangers era, but very like, hi, Taurus rising, girl next door, I don't do anything wrong, can be very Taurus rising. Also, great example is Snoop Dogg because, yeah, there is totally a connection between tea leaves and Taurus because it likes to chill out, it likes to hang out, it likes to ride the groove and be chill and, you know, all that kind of Taurasian stuff. And also Taurus risings can be absolutely gorgeous, very beautiful, very breathtaking, like Kate Moss. Gemini, the third sign of the zodiac. Okay, it makes sense that Taurus is the second sign because it's all about pair, it's all about Venus. And so Gemini is the third. Once there's three people, it's a party, okay? This is a much more fun, lighthearted sign. The glyph is basically the Roman numeral 2, and you may be like, why is it the Roman numeral 2 if it's the third sign? And it's because Gemini rules the twins, okay? That's its glyph, right? It's one thing, but also the other thing, and it can be a little bit back and forth. The past two signs have been very straightforward, okay? To the point. Gemini's a trickster. Gemini's tricky. It's not to the point. It doesn't always say what it means. It's kind of all over here and then all over there and then playing devil's advocate and then disagreeing just to disagree and make things complicated. You know, it's a little trickster. It's the master of mischief, right? Aries has their makeshift shelter. Taurus has their lovely little home. What can I get out of both of them? I can make Aries do this job for me I don't want to do. And I grow lettuce. I can trade my lettuce for Taurus's lovely tomatoes, and then I'll have both tomatoes and lettuce, and I can make a salad, right? No, it's all about the community, all about the neighborhood. Oh, you have this and you have that. Oh, I have that and I have this, and right? Also, it talks with its hands a lot. It does rule the hands as well, so that makes sense. Yeah, with Gemini, there can be a real strong duality. I would honestly go even farther than just saying a duality, because I think of that as more Libra, because it's one side over here and then the other side over there, and it's trying to balance it out. Gemini is more than just duality. It's like multiplicity, okay? It's like a little this, a little that, a little that, a little that. It tries to see all sides of the story, all perspectives, everything, right? If Taurus is sat in its opinion and knows what it thinks, Gemini will take that and go, how can I see this from a different angle? How can I make them think outside the box, right? Gemini is a masculine sign. It's extroverted because it's an air sign. Air is all about communication. It's all about intellect. It's all about thinking. It's all about exchanging ideas, okay? So this is an extroverted energy because talking is an extroverted activity, okay? I think of air signs as the masculine, feminine signs though, because sometimes they can be all up in their brain, okay? Sometimes they can be overthinking everything and going back and forth inside, and then it just word vomits outside, right? It's a very heavy intellectual sign, but it's not really solid with any one thing. It's a little bit of everything. So of course, its modality is mutable. Okay, we've had the fixed, stuck in one place, the cardinal, goal-oriented, tunnel visioned, and then we have the mutable. Oh, if you're like this, I'll be like this, and if you're like that, then I'll pick up that, and if you're like that, then I'll be like that, right? It's a very, very much go with the flow, go with the environment kind of energy. Mutable signs are incredibly, incredibly adaptable. Taurus is not adaptable. It's only going to be able to do its patch of grass. It doesn't know how to handle the other patches of grass. Gemini, it doesn't really have its own patch of grass, but yet it can manage everyone else's. And it can also maybe finagle everyone out of their patch of grass as well. It is definitely a salesperson energy. You think of Gemini as, you know, back in the day, we would have to buy, sell, and trade things, you know, trade with your neighbor, all that kind of stuff. That's what Gemini rules, right? Gemini's motto is, I think. Of course it is. I think this, I think that, I think this, I think that. Okay, nonstop, constant brain activity. That's also why it's called the twins, because it can kind of feel like, you know, even though Gemini just belongs to one person, it kind of feels like there's two sides to them, okay? It can kind of be a little bit of a bipolar kind of energy. Up here and then down there and then right? Taurus is very fixed in its emotions. I feel sad today, so I feel sad all day, and I cannot, as a Taurus, I cannot get out of my sadness. Gemini, I feel sad, and then I feel happy, and then I laugh, and then I cry, and then you know, it can be a little bit all over the place, all around, like, oh, I'm fine, and then, you know, kind of out of nowhere. It rules the third house. The third house is all about your community, okay? Your siblings. Gemini is also the eternal child, right? The child that's going, why? Why this? Why that? Hey, teacher, I have a question. What about this? Ha ha ha, I'm gonna play a prank. Hee hee, ha ha. Growing up with a lot of siblings. Siblings play jokes on each other. Oh, I know this because my sibling watched this. I'm friends with this person because it's my sibling's friend. I got to go here because my sibling got to go there, you know? It's a lot of activity, a lot of community. It's a very busybody sort of energy. Got a billion projects at once, you know, a little bit of here, a little bit of there. It's really hard to keep a Gemini's focus, right? Taurus, all it can do is focus on one thing. Aries, even, you know, one goal. Gemini, I can't focus on one thing. It has to focus on a billion things. And ruling planet is, of course, Mercury. Mercury is the mind, is the intellect. And it's also a very duality kind of energy. If you look at the glyph of Mercury, it has little devil horns on it because there can be a very devilish sort of nature to Gemini. We call it devil's advocate for a reason. Its sister sign or opposite sign is Sagittarius. The reason why Sagittarius is opposite is because Gemini is, you know, not to be rude, I don't mean this in a negative way, but it can be a little bit small-minded. It can be a little bit like, oh, well, you can learn anything that you want in a simple 5-minute Google search. And then Sagittarius goes, well, yeah, but there's so much more to learn than just what you find in a 5-minute Google search. Like, Sagittarius will take one thing that it cares about and obsess and want to know everything about that one thing. Gemini might not have a degree, but it'll have an answer for every question that you ever ask it. Sagittarius will have a degree in one specific thing, and it will have an answer for every single question you ask it about that subject, but it probably doesn't know about anything else outside of that subject. And I will say, out of all of the disharmonious energies, I think mutable signs get along the best. Why? Because it's in the name. They're mutable. They're more adaptable. So of course they're able to adapt more to energies that are different to them. Now the signs that they're compatible with are Libra and Aquarius, because those are the other two air signs, okay? They're all the thinky, intellectual signs. And then the signs that they're incompatible with, as I mentioned, are the other mutable signs, which is Virgo and Pisces, they square, and then their opposite Sagittarius. Gemini rules the hands, so it's really, really good at arts and crafts, doing things with its hands, intricate little things. This is like a small little antidote, but if there's ever a Gemini around you or somebody with prominent Gemini energy around you and you have a tangled necklace, ask the Gemini. They love just sitting there and being intricate and untangling that little necklace, right? They're really good at little intricate things like that. Now, the problem with Gemini is that they sometimes have trouble with the big picture. So a lot of times people with a lot of Gemini energy in them have trouble deciding on one thing to do in life because they want to do one thing this day, another thing another day, and another thing another day. And I don't think Gemini needs to. They just kind of need to go with the flow a little bit more. That's what they do best. Now, Gemini can be, because it's the twins, a little bit two-faced is what people call it. Now, I would call it more like 70,000 faced because it's not as simple. I think of Libra's actually more two-faced. It's one or the other. Gemini is more whatever's presented to me, I will respond with. So if what's presented to me is this opinion, I will play devil's advocate and do the opposite. So people can get upset because Gemini can kind of play all sides of the game, but that's because Gemini sees all perspectives and it can see things from every angle. And that's what makes people mad, is that they can see everyone's perspective. Now, I love Gemini energy. I appreciate that about them. They always open up new perspectives, new sides of the story. So, but you just have to take Gemini's opinions with a grain of salt. And because Gemini does rule the community, they can be very gossipy, they can be very loudmouth. Taurus is very loyal. If you tell Taurus something, they won't tell anybody else. If you tell Gemini something, they will tell everyone, and they will even change up the story sometimes and make it a little bit more exaggerated. That's why you gotta be careful, but it can be a very fun, inquisitive, mischievous, entertaining energy. It keeps you on your toes, okay? Some Gemini sun celebrities, okay? Gemini suns are huge rappers because of course it's all about wordplay. Kanye West, Kendrick Lamar, Tupac, Biggie Smalls, just to name a few. There are so many Geminis that are rappers, but also, you know, I think of like Kanye West, you know, he's known for kind of being bipolar, up and down, all over the place. That is very Gemini. People love some of the stuff that Kanye says and disagree with some of the stuff that Kanye says, but that's just how you have to take them. Another side of Gemini is like Prince. Not only is it duality in the nature of thinking, but it can also be duality in the nature of gender. Gemini definitely rules, you know, agender, non-binary, cross-dressing, all that kind of stuff. Gender swapping. It can even, you know, rule being gay or bi or questioning your sexuality. So it makes sense that Prince is a great example of being a Gemini sun because he kind of played with that line in between genders. Another side of Gemini is they can make great actors because they can put on whatever hats you want them to. So of course, Johnny Depp is a Gemini sun. He has an extraordinary range of characters, and also if you hear people talk about Johnny Depp, they always say on set he is like a little kid playing dress up. Gemini never loses their, what's that word when you're like a little kid and you're all bushy-tailed and bright-eyed? They never lose that. I can't think of that word. Gemini moon. A great example of Gemini moon, Jim Carrey with all the plastic face, so, you know, the mask, all the crazy faces and expressions, all that kind of stuff. But he also like exposes a lot about being a celebrity. Of course, Jim Carrey is known for being a great comedian, and Gemini moon has a great sense of comedic timing. Gigi Allen is another perfect example of a Gemini moon where they can just kind of go off the wall and be kind of shocking just to be shocking, really just surprise people, but understand the kind of con of it all. You know, there's a certain kind of awareness of what makes people tick and what makes people interested in you with Gemini, and like playing the game a little bit but exploiting the game. Gemini risings. There is like a group of celebrities that I think look so similar. They all have this like Gemini rising kind of look to them, and they all kind of go a similar route. Not totally, but similar. Amy Winehouse, Lindsay Lohan, Lady Gaga, Pamela Anderson. Like, they kind of all have this like back and forth insecurity to them. They put on many faces. They're all kind of showmans in their own way, but there's a lot of struggle. Like with Gemini, there's a lot of psychiatric and mental issues, okay? Especially, you know, Lindsay Lohan, the party phase, and Amy Winehouse and all of her struggles. I know Lady Gaga has some health issues and Accept Me the Way I Am, and, you know, all the crazy outfits, you know, and even Pamela Anderson, I've noticed with Gemini risings, they can be sexualized from a very, very young age, is a big theme as well. Now, the fourth sign, Cancer. Okay, so the great way to think of Cancer is think of something, you know, with 4 legs to it. It's sturdy, it's stable, right? It creates the home, reliable, dependable, okay? It's a table with 4 legs. You know, 3 is gonna fall over. You know, Gemini, whoop. The Cancer glyph looks like a 69. And the reason why I think this is relevant is because Cancer is all about giving and receiving. It is the mother of the zodiac. It gives itself and then it receives the love from the child. Its symbol is the crab, and that is because it's got a hard outer shell, right? It's very defensive Cancer. It's got its defenses up. It's got little snappers. It can kind of snap and get like butthurt and bitter a little bit. But then inside is this really like soft, gushy, gooey little meat, you know? So sweet and so kind and so loving. And also another thing to think about with the crab is that it kind of goes back and forth when it moves, and it kind of has trouble moving forward. And basically Cancer can be really stuck in the past. So Aries is all about the here and now and moving forward and right? Cancer is also a cardinal sign. It is all about setting goals, you know, this goal of having a happy, healthy family. However, it can get really stuck in the past. It can be very much of a past tripper. You know, maybe you've heard of a future tripper. It can be very past oriented. It can dwell, it can feel guilty because it's an emotional sign. It's another water sign, okay? Cancer is all about my emotions, how I feel when I feel it. However, Cancer has a lot of trouble sometimes feeling heard. It wants to express its emotions, and Cancer can be the energy that sometimes just needs to vent. Sometimes just needs to get it out and feel heard and feel affirmed, and then it can kind of move on. But if it doesn't feel heard, if it feels stepped on, it can grow a lot of resentment, a lot of bitterness. It also is a water sign, so it doesn't want to hurt anybody's feelings. It wants to be nice to everyone and treat everyone with kindness. That can kind of make it so it doesn't stand up for itself. It doesn't express itself externally, and it keeps it all in here, and that can cause a lot of problems. It's the mother, it's the nurturer of the zodiac. It gives and gives and gives, and sometimes it feels like it doesn't receive enough. Now, sometimes Cancer, receiving can never be enough. Sometimes it really wants to be nurtured, sheltered, taken care of, stored away, locked away, you know, protected. There's a lot of innocence and naivete that comes with Cancer. Gemini is the eternal child in a very mischievous, trickster, kind of energy, but Cancer is the eternal child because it's coddled, it's taken care of, it's protected, it wants to be loved, it wants to be held, it wants to be nurtured. Of course, its motto is I feel, okay? Cancer can really get stuck in its feelings, okay? I call them little butthurt whiny bitches. It rules the 4th house because that is the house of the home, also known as the IC, who you are at your roots, you know, your family life, your home life. What is your home like? It just wants to lounge around in its pajamas at home and take care of what it cares about. Its ruling planet is the moon. Of course it is. Cancer is a very, very intuitive sign. Aries is I'm the boy, I'm the man, booga booga, and Cancer is I'm the mom, I'm the baby, I'm the nurturer. Now the moon actually changes sign the fastest in the zodiac. It changes sign every 2.5 days, and so because of that, Cancer is very changeable in the way of its emotional life. It's up and it's down and it's here and it's here. You know, it's not as fast as Gemini to like get over things. Like Gemini will be like, right? With Cancer, it'll be a little bit more sat in things, but maybe for like 2.5 days, and then the next 2.5 days it'll change its mind. Like there's a lot of moodiness that comes with Cancer, a lot of irritability that comes with Cancer. Of course, it's a feminine sign, you know, it's feminine, it's a water sign, and it makes a lot of sense that Cancer is the first water sign. It's kind of the most baseline emotional. What's happening right now in the undercurrents? How am I feeling? And how does what you say affect me? So it can be a little bit selfish in its emotional expression, in my biased opinion. Its sister sign or opposite sign is Capricorn, of course, because Cancer is all about the home. Capricorn is all about work. Cancer is all about what I achieve in the family and my family life. Capricorn is what I achieve in my work life and externally, and what do I achieve in the public sphere. Cancer is very introverted. It's very private. It doesn't just tell everybody everything about itself. It only opens up to a certain people that it feels safe with. Cancer is all about safety. It's all about comfortability. Now, it's not fixed like Taurus. If Cancer's not happy, it's only going to take it for a certain amount of time. It's going to express itself. But Cancer can have some trouble in standing up for themselves because they don't like negative emotion. They don't like yelling. They don't like aggressiveness. You know, they want to be treated with a soft and tender hand. And so, of course, this is incompatible with Aries because of that. Aries can be just so aggressive. This is how I feel, and I'm going to tell you, and I don't care what you think, and I don't care how I make you feel. And Cancer goes, why wouldn't you care how you make me feel? That hurt me, you know. And then Cancer can kind of snap back with its crabs. Well, you're like this, and you know, this thing that I've been holding in, I'm going to let it out now. You know. And of course, it also squares Libra because Libra will not share its feelings because of the other person. Oh, this isn't a big deal, so I just won't bring it up. Oh, la 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 la, sweep it under the rug. Cancer's not going to do that. Cancer's going to say, hey, that hurt me. I don't care how that affects the mood or the balance of the situation. That hurt me. That you stepped on me. I didn't like that. And then the signs that it is compatible with are the other water signs, which is Scorpio and Pisces. And it's also opposite Capricorn, as I mentioned. Cancer rules the breasts, okay? Because that's, you know, when you have a baby, you know, they suckle on the teat. I don't know. You know, it's life-giving. Also, most of the time, Cancer men love boobs more than most, or Cancer women have really nice boobs or really nice nipples. Most Cancer women have big breasts. Now let's talk about some celebrities with this energy. So, first up for Cancer sun, we have two of my least favorite celebrities ever. I'm not a big fan of Cancer energy. I am a Cancer rising, but it kind of drives me crazy. Lana Del Rey, I think, is the perfect example of a Cancer sun. Like, oh, like that, you know? And she just seems so butthurt in all of her songs. And I feel like most of her pain and trouble like comes from her creating it, which is also partly due to her Scorpio rising. But I feel like her emotional understanding is just so baseline. It's so like first water sign understanding, you know? And I just think Cancers are corny. Like, they're corny ass motherfuckers. And I think she's so corny. Also, Courtney Love. Courtney Love is a Cancer sun, Cancer moon. And, you know, she does that whole, like, you know, baby core, like, fetishizing of the kid and the, like, you know, like, Cancer's considered the mother. Sometimes they can be, depends, but sometimes they can be the worst moms or the worst parent because they don't feel like they were nurtured and they were taken care of, and so they're just like constantly looking for that their whole life. And so when they have a kid, it's almost like they want their kid to take care of them and nurture them, and then they never are that way for their kid. Obviously, that's not always true. Some of the best parents that I know are Cancers. Father, it can create a really good like girl dad for sure, Cancer sun. But then also, I mentioned I've been watching Jersey Shore more. There's so much Cancer energy, especially Cancer sun energy, amongst the Jersey Shore men. And I think that is because it's that Italian thing. They're all like, family. Yeah, we're a family. I grew up in a loving family that cooked and cleaned for me. Also note how in the Jersey Shore household, the men are the best chefs. Cancer moon. I cannot stand this placement. This is my least favorite placement in all of astrology. My number one red flag. I always have to shout it out as such. I am a Capricorn moon and stellium, and yeah, we got some of my least favorite people here. My two least favorite celebrities probably ever, Taylor Swift and Drake. You know, Taylor Swift is just so like, boo-hoo, boo-hoo, I'm a pop singer, boo-hoo. Like, it's just so like I don't know. Cancer moons are so butthurt, and they're such butthurt little bitches, and they can't handle anything, and they make every little emotion the biggest deal. If you're a Cancer moon and you're hearing this, you're gonna go whine about it in the comments and huff and puff, and you're just gonna be more butthurt about it and prove my point even more. Cancer moons are just gonna dwell on it forever, so go ahead and dwell on it. I think it's funny. They think every situation is so much harder than it is. Oh, I've been through so much. Like, literally, this is the meme of like, the asylum that raised me, and it's literally like a beautiful, expensive, rich house. Like, that's Cancer moon sadness at its core. And then Drake, he's corny. He's corny as hell. I've always thought this. All his like cartoon memes that go around, like, they're just corny. His emotions are lame. His only fans are young girls, and we all know what came out about that. So yeah. Okay, Cancer rising. Hi, I'm a Cancer rising. It's hard for me to find celebrities that are Cancer risings. I just don't think that we're that prone to it, you know. Angelina Jolie is like the main Cancer rising that everybody talks about because she's got like the big, you know, water rising face. You know, Tyra Banks is also a Cancer rising, which I think makes sense if you watch ANTM, America's Next Top Model, because she is very like exploitative of their emotions. Like, she is very much like, how does this make you feel? And I'm gonna make you feel like this, and I'm gonna make you feel like that. And she like wants to come across as mother, but she's really just an Aries moon. She's just out for herself and out for her own TV show. Cancer for men is just like every man. Paul Rudd, every man. You know, who even is Paul Rudd? I'm surprised that wasn't even a picture of Paul Rudd. Did you even catch that? Here's a picture of Paul Rudd. Just kidding, that's also not Paul Rudd. Here's the actual picture of Paul Rudd. Do you see what I'm saying here? Like me, I have a very like approachable face. That's also something else with Cancer, is you feel like you've known them. You know, they rule the family, so you feel like you've known them. They feel very familiar to you, and they feel very safe. That's also why like Taylor Swift is one of the biggest stars. She feels so relatable because she's just so like everyman. You know? Moving on, we have Leo, the 5th sign of the zodiac. All right, every Leo loves being a Leo. The second that you tell them they're a Leo or that they have a Leo placement, they go, that is my favorite placement, okay? The glyph of Leo looks like a person with a small head and a giant head of hair. That's Leo. It's all about the hair. Leo rules the heart. It also rules the upper back because Leos love a good massage, but also Leos wear their heart on their sleeve. Leos are all about their appearance, especially about their hair. Leos always have crazy big hair, or their hair's their thing. They just have things about their hair. Or if they don't have hair, oh, it affects their confidence so much. It like ruins them. And if they have great hair, that is where their confidence comes from. Its symbol is the lion, because the lion's known as the king of the jungle. But what does it really do all day but lounge around? And it wants to be treated and pampered and adored. And yes, I am the lion. Hear me roar. But also they're kind of all talk, you know? All talk. Leo is a fire sign. Of course it is, because it's ruled by its heart. It's very expressive. Okay, it wants to be the star. It wants to be the lead singer, the lead guitarist. It wants all attention on them. All about me all the time. Of course it's a fire sign. Okay, it's very explosive. It's very energetic. It's very like, whoo, okay? And of course it is a masculine sign. It's very extroverted. It wants everybody to know it. It does not want to hide in the shadows. No, it wants to be known. It wants to be loved. It wants to be adored. Leo is the fixed fire sign though. Even though again, Leo is like the star and all that sort of stuff, there is something quieter about Leo, I think, because it is a fixed sign. It can get stuck in its ways. It can get, you know, driven by its heart and stuck with a Taurus, or stuck with a sign that's incompatible with it, you know, something like that. And because it is so based off of what other people think about it, it can have confidence issues for sure. Leo sometimes, if it's an honest, true Leo, they can, you know, not care about what other people say and just go on doing them. But that probably came from a lot of feelings of insecurity growing up that they had to grow past. You know, sometimes Leo can be more introverted, especially when I see it in the moon. It can just be concerned about itself and what it wants and what it desires out of life. Its little motto is I love, because Leo it's very expressive. It wants that rom-com. Okay, that's how it wants love to be like that rom-com story. It wants its whole life to be like a story. It wants its life to be like a song, a movie, just like artistry, all that that sort of stuff. This is what I love to do. This is what I love to enjoy, right? Me, 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 me. Sometimes it can have trouble because it's a fixed sign, taking in other people's opinions to heart. Well, it'll take in your opinion about them to heart, but it has trouble sometimes taking constructive criticism. It can get really sensitive and really touchy to it because it knows the best way and it wants to do it that way. And, you know, sometimes that's good because this can create a more like independent, solid personality. Like, let's say it is an artist, you know, I'm not going to do what my record label wants. I'm going to go my own way. I'm going to forge my own path. But other times, Leo can be susceptible to, oh, this is what my record label wants, and this is what makes me popular, and I just want to be wanted and adored, so I'll just do with that. You know, it can kind of go both ways. It just depends. It rules the 5th house, which is all about creativity. It's all about children, all about the things you make, artistry, all that kind of stuff. Also, the 5th house is like the favorite child, or the favorite in the group, or the favorite in the after school activity. And Leo definitely wants to be the favorite. And Leo, in fact, probably has a lot of favorites. Abby Lee Miller is a Leo moon, and she has so many favorites, but she kind of uses them and discards them, which can sometimes be a little bit of a Leo quality. What do you give to me? You know, you have to serve me and what I want because I'm insecure because I can't dance. Abby Lee Miller. Its ruling planet is, of course, the sun, because everything revolves around the sun. So everything revolves around Leo. You know, Leo is all about my personality, my shine, my light, all that kind of stuff. Its sister sign is in Aquarius, because Aquarius is all about one part of a whole, basically. Aquarius is all about ensemble work. You know, what can we make as a team together, the greater community of things. Oh, I'm fighting for this belief even though it doesn't pertain to me. Leo is going to fight for the belief because it pertains to them. You know, Leo doesn't want to be a part of ensemble. It wants to have an ensemble working below it or for them. It's compatible with Aries and Sagittarius, the other fire signs, although they can kind of butt heads because they all want to be the brightest. However, the great thing about the fire signs is that because they're all so competitive, they are each other's greatest competition, and sometimes they can create a lot of healthy competition between the 3 signs. You know, oh, this Sagittarius is better, so I want to be better, and this Aries is better, so I want to be better. However, I think that Aries and Sagittarius tend to have a better attitude about that kind of competitiveness. Leo will get really mad, and I think they can do more roundabout, sketchier ways because they're kind of a fixed sign to be on top that I don't know if Aries and Sagittarius would do. But I think most of the time Sagittarius will outwit Leo, but Leo will be just louder and more abrasive. Their ego can definitely get the best of them and can really blind them. But again, this is a fixed sign, so they're really stuck on the things that they love. Usually Leo is like, I'm good at one thing, or I'm good at 2 things, and that's all, but I'm the best at it, and I want to be great at it, and that's the only thing I want to do. We're done. I don't need any of this other stuff, right? The signs that it's incompatible with is Taurus. They're both very loyal. Leo is a very loyal sign. However, Leo is loyal first to themselves and second to you. And Taurus is just loyal. Also, Taurus wants to live a much simpler life. It's not concerned with all the flashy things that Leo is concerned with. And then also, of course, it squares Scorpio because Scorpio looks at Leo and rolls their eyes because, ugh, I hate people that are attention grabbers and all about their ego and stuff. And Leo goes, who's Scorpio? You know? And of course, as I mentioned, they're opposite to Aquarius. So now let's talk about some celebrities with this Leo energy. Jennifer Lopez, she's like the easiest example. All that stuff that's come out about how just oblivious she is. They're just like the celebrity. Same with Demi Lovato. She's also a Leo rising, and she's like, can you believe, you know, that whole frozen yogurt stuff? I didn't get my frozen yogurt. And she's a Taurus moon too, funny enough. My frozen yogurt! They didn't have my flavor frozen yogurt! Oh, right? It's just like can be very out of touch sometimes. Leo moon. I have to say, out of all the Leo placements, I like Leo moon the most out of all the Leo placements because there is a much more of a subtle introversion to them because they're much more individualistic. This is like kind of a little bit more of an only child placement, and I'm an only child, even if you're not an only child, just because I think Leo moons are much more like, I'm worried about what I'm doing when I'm doing it, and I mind my own business. I think of the Leo energy that I was talking about when it's like, my manager wants me to do this, but this is, I want to follow my heart. I want to go with what I want. I think Leo moons are the least likely to get concerned with what everybody else expects of them and more wanting to just do their art for their art's sake. I think Helena Bonham Carter is a great example of a Leo moon. She's an actor, she's a performer for sure, but it's like she doesn't show off her money like that. You know, she dresses in these crazy clothes that people probably always get down on her for. She's a Gemini too, but she's just being her. Like, you can tell wherever you put Helena Bonham Carter, she is gonna be her. Now, a more typical example of a Leo moon is Paris Hilton. You know, that's all. She's just a Leo moon. But she's also kind of funny, and she's a lot smarter than most Leos because she played that character and she put herself in situations that she knew would be funny for a Leo moon to be in. So she still has that kind of secretly wise thing that I think Leo moons have. Okay, back to the lame Leo placements. No, I'm just kidding. Leo rising. I mean, Tyler, the Creator, is a perfect example of a Leo rising. He's very like, blah, and he's like, I'm gonna be me and like artistry and da-da-da-da. But he also very much goes with the trends. Like, being gay isn't cool, so I hate being gay. Being gay is cool, so I'm gonna be gay. Being autistic isn't cool, so I'm not gonna be autistic. Being autistic is cool, so I'm gonna be autistic, right? And it's like, I don't know. I don't like him. Also, like, all his golf wear, like, literally looks like golf wear, and it's like very Leo to me. Very colorful, very bright. Perfect example of Leo rising, Donald Trump. Okay, whether you like him or not politically, this is not a channel to talk about politics with. I hate politics. You have to admit he's entertaining. And of course he's a Leo rising. His face is everywhere. He was like the most known president. Like, Joe Biden's face isn't everywhere. Joe Biden's memes aren't everywhere. But Donald Trump, no matter what side you were on, you could not get away from him. And he is just authentically him, saying whatever he wants. He's also a Gemini. Wherever you put him, he's just him. And his hair is a huge thing, even though it's bad. That's a huge staple. Next up, the sixth sign of the zodiac, we have Virgo. Virgo and Scorpio share a similar looking glyph. We'll talk about Scorpios when we get there. It's the M, but the main point to pay attention to with this glyph is that it turns inward, because Virgo is kind of the virgin, or at least it represents virginal-like qualities, purity, being clean, the absence of anything. And it's very inward. Its symbol is the virgin holding wheat. You know, Virgos have an amazing green thumb, you know, caring for things like that. They're not so much the mother as caring for like an actual child or a being, but they're very good at caring for inanimate objects like wheat, like their clothes, like the groceries. Tauruses are great cooks, by the way. Virgos aren't the best cooks they can be, but they like tasks. They like order, you know, they like caring for the items in the home. The Cancer enjoys the home and makes it a homey atmosphere. Like, oh, when I walk in, this feels like a home. That's Cancer. Virgo is like, when I walk in, this feels like a fucking staunch insane asylum because everything's white and crisp and clean and clear, and there's not like a shred of anybody living here. It's a very perfectionistic placement. And so that makes sense that it's the virgin. It doesn't mean that all Virgos are virginal, but it does mean that Virgo in itself, the quality, wants to be clear and perfect and absent of anything, any color, any fun, any enjoyability. And there's a very strict right and wrong with Virgo. You know, they like to complete all their things on their to-do list. Virgo is concerned with all the small details. Taurus is all about, you know, I worked on this thing, quality over quantity for a week. I put my back into it and I made this, you know. And Capricorn is concerned with like the big project. I'm a master at this study. Virgo is like the taskmaster. Virgo is Capricorn's personal assistant. Virgo is the administrator looking over Taurus's back, saying that they're doing it wrong, when in fact they just don't understand how Taurus goes about things. But they're all about rules, and they can be very robotic, and they can be very, this is right, this is wrong, this is black, this is white. They have a lot of trouble with gray areas. Virgo is a feminine sign because it's much more introverted, you know, somebody that completes, you know, little tasks and chores, and, you know, it's all about health and working out every day and, you know, nutrition, and it deals a lot with getting good grades, not because, you know, like Capricorn, it wants to be smart and capable and understand things, but because it wants to see that A, because that means that I am good and I get a sticker, you know? It doesn't really like to go out because that's messy and there are people, and it doesn't really know how to interact with people a lot of times in any other way other than giving orders and telling them what to do or responding to orders and getting told what to do. Virgo is not the leader, it's the follower, but it's the head follower. So if these are the followers and this is the leader, the Virgo's kind of like the bridge between the two, taking the orders from the leader and telling them to the masses. The person that upholds the laws that we all can't stand. It's the cop. You know what I mean? It's the cop of the zodiac. Now, what's interesting about Virgo is it is an earth sign, which makes sense. It is very of the earth. It is great at planting things. You know, it wants to find nothing but stability and sameness in its life. But it is a mutable sign. It is a very changeable sign. I think that Virgo is a changeable sign because it's the servant also. You know, it serves people. And I think what makes it mutable is that Virgo cannot stand how everything changes every day and there are no constants in the world. And so it feels like it's mutable because it has to deal with life every day and it somehow has to adapt to it, but it goes crazy trying to adapt. It can rule something like OCD because it's like getting this obsessive thought because it's ruled by Mercury. It's like this obsessive thought and it goes back and forth and it's like, I have so many choices in this world. What do I do? Oh my God, I have this intrusive thought that I can just do this right now. And how do I stop myself from doing that? It's mutable because it's like the mutability of life it sees and it's terrified and paralyzed by it, if that makes sense. Its motto is, of course, I serve. You know, I serve you. I serve this. I serve myself. It shows its love by doing tasks for people. Oh, I'll go do the dishes. I'll go get the groceries. But it has a lot of trouble with the physical affection and words of affirmation and softness and stuff like that. It's much more, you know, oh, I can make your life easier. Oh, I bought this house and I completed and checked off this task. It rules the 6th house of daily life, of service, because it does get really caught up in its daily routine. If Virgo's daily routine is off, they are off. And that can really throw Virgo for that spiraling loop. You know, it can be insanity, Virgo, because everything has to be perfect, but nothing is ever perfect. So how does it manage that? The 6th house also rules health. So that's why Virgo is so health inclined. And the 6th house also, if 2nd house rules manual labor, the 6th house rules executive labor. Like, how do I call it? Like administrative labor, you know, the receptionist. It is very smart. Virgo is highly, highly intellectual because it can learn things through this thing of right and wrong. And again, it wants really good grades. It wants to be perfect. It can have perfectionism qualities, even though nothing is ever perfect and nothing is ever right. Virgo has very specific ways that it likes things done, and it thinks those ways are right. And if you have somebody with prominent Virgo energy around you, they have really weird rules. And a lot of times they have trouble sticking to their own rules because they too are mutable, but they expect you to stick to their rules perfectly, right? Cops expect you to stick to the rules perfectly, but they rarely actually stick to those rules as well. Its sister sign is, of course, Pisces, because Pisces is just nothing of this world. It's everything beyond this world. And Virgo is everything of this world. It's very much rooted in its surroundings, and it can be very anxious. It can be very like, you know, because nothing is ever right. Nothing is, you know, there's always things out of place in the world. And Pisces doesn't even notice all the food on the floor and the clothes everywhere and how disheveled and disgusting everything is. But that's all Virgo can hyperfixate on. It's compatible with the other earth signs of Taurus and Capricorn because they both rule work and getting things done. Taurus does appreciate that Virgo handles all the things, that little administrative boring things that Taurus doesn't want to do. And Capricorn appreciates that as well. Capricorn wants to hire the maid so that they can focus on bigger and better things. And they're incompatible with the other mutable signs. And I really don't think they like the other mutable signs at all. Of course, they're incompatible with Gemini because Gemini is all over the place. They both are ruled by Mercury, but Gemini is like that fun, trickster, devilish side of Mercury, whereas Virgo is that right or wrong, staunch side of Mercury. You know, left brain and right brain. Gemini is very type B. Virgo is very type A. Virgo invented type A. And of course they're incompatible with Sagittarius because Sagittarius is all about the big picture. It doesn't care about those little things that are necessary. Like, why do I have to brush my teeth every day if I brush my teeth most days? Why do I have to do the dishes every day as long as they get done eventually, I guess? You know, and that drives Virgo absolutely crazy. Sagittarius goes, why do I have to follow the rules if the rules don't make sense? And Virgo says, because the rules, you know? And of course, again, it's opposite Pisces. Virgo rules the stomach. It has a very, very sensitive stomach. If you're a Virgo and your stomach is responsive, it is because, you know, you're not feeling right about this, or you're nervous, or you're anxious, right? Virgo is definitely IBS. Now let's talk about some celebrities with this Virgo energy. So we have Dr. Phil, of course. He also has some Pisces energy in him, which makes sense. He's a doctor. However, how much is he really a doctor? And how much is his show really just to bring on people that he can wag his finger at and say, you're wrong, everyone boo them, this is why they suck, boo, and then distract everyone from his wrongdoings? Very Virgo. Also, how much is he really even a doctor? I don't know, he probably just wants that label. Adam Sandler, I think, is the Virgo in the fact, like, I think of Cancer can be very, like, you know, every dad. Virgo is like every man, basically, in a lot of ways. I can just relate to just being like, I do my lines, I show up to work, you know. He's probably a very, like, reliable actor in that way. But also, you know, Virgos can be like Karl Lagerfeld, the guy that is the owner, or the main guy of Chanel. You know, Chanel is very classy, very put together, very little black dress, and those, you know, those suit outfits, and prim and proper. And, you know, there's a lot of quotes of Karl Lagerfeld being like, I do not like fat women, I do not like ugly women, I only like beauty and the perfection, you know, very Virgo sun. Virgo moons, I think Virgo moons can be interesting, although they can drive themselves crazy. You know, Madonna is, I think, a perfect example of a Virgo moon, like a virgin. Her name is Madonna, very, like, religious themes. Virgos will rebel against themselves and their own virginal ideas in a lot of ways, because they have that trouble and that insecurity. And then also Virgo moons can just be, like, smart. Elon Musk, you know, he's just, like, known as, like, a smart guy. But I do also question how much is actually him and how much he stole, which I think is a very Virgo theme, like Dr. Phil. And then Virgo rising, these are nerds. They just come across as straight nerds. Think Steve Jobs. Nerd. Also, they can come across like Timothée Chalamet, like he's like bony and like skinny, and he has that, oh my god, that meme of him, those videos of his digital footprint of him doing the like rap stuff is so corny. Like, of course we think it's funny that he's doing it. He's a Virgo rising. That's why we think he's funny that he's doing it. Hey, it can be very musically inclined, genuinely they can be, but normally, like, you know, Timothée Chalamet has a Pisces moon. They need Virgo and Pisces to be musically inclined. Virgos just want to tell you what you're doing wrong. It's so annoying. And also Virgo risings can be like Woody Allen. Like, they can come across really appropriate, but usually there's a lot of sketchy things that they're doing behind closed doors. And that's why Virgos are really sketchy to me. Honestly. All right, we are officially at the halfway mark, the 7th sign of the zodiac, which is Libra. And of course, since we are at the halfway mark, this sign balances out both sides, okay? So its glyph is basically, it looks like the scales. That's what its symbol also looks like. It's the only zodiac sign with an inanimate object as its symbol, because it can be very unhuman, because it is just about the other. It is about what you want, what you're feeling, right? Its opposite is Aries, I am, this is what I want. Libra is what we are, what we want, what you want. Let me see your side, your perspective of things. It is a masculine sign. If Aries is the fraternity, I think of Libra as the sorority, right? It's very gossipy, it's very other-oriented, it's very group-oriented. You know, it's an air sign. Oh, talk, 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 chat, 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 you know, all that kind of stuff. And people forget that Libra is a very, very, very intellectual sign. It's a very smart sign, very diplomatic sign. It rules a lot of things within law. You know, that's why you see the scales as big themes. Justice has the scales. It wants things to be fair and just, and it always tries to balance out the other side of the equation. Now, it's also an air sign because it can go back and forth. This person says this, but I think this. Am I right to think that? There can be a little bit insecurity. You know, Aries doesn't have insecurity because it's just like, it is what it is and it doesn't care. But Libra can have insecurity because, oh, what do you think? What do you want to go out to eat? Oh, I don't really have an opinion. What's your opinion? Oh, what do you think of me? Am I pretty to you? You know, it's kind of like that. Libra is also a cardinal sign. It is also very goal-oriented. Cancer goes in the past. Aries goes in the present. Then Libra kind of goes side to side in the present, kind of like weighing all its options, a little bit unsure. It can have trouble sometimes gaining forward momentum. Analysis paralysis. That's what Libra can have sometimes. However, it is goal-oriented at the end of the day. So what it wants is partnership. That's its goal is to find its partner and to create a loving, harmonious relationship. Its motto is "we are." This is what we are together. Sometimes Libra can have a lot of trouble finding its own individual identity, and it will kind of only find its identity through other people, through bouncing its identity off of other people. It rules the 7th house, or the descendant, which again is the other, the shadow side, how everyone else is viewed. So again, it is very partnership oriented, and its ruling planet is Venus. Now it's the other side of Venus, where it's also all about, you know, finding its love, finding its partner, but there can be, because it's an air sign, a little bit more of a floaty quality with Libra, because it does go based off of compliments. You know, how do you make me feel? Oh, this person made me feel good. Oh, I can't give myself compliments. I need you to give me external validation. So while Taurus is that devoted, loyal side of Venus, Libra is that more flirty side of Venus, you know. Ooh, this person tells me what I want to hear. Ooh, this person tells me what I want to hear now. You know, oh, we're just flirting, nothing harmful, you know, that kind of stuff. It can really sway the lines there. But it also wants to be enjoyed and indulged and treated well and, you know, relax. And Taurus will go out there and do the dirty work that Libra stays home and gets a manicure instead. Its opposite sign, as I've mentioned, is Aries, because Aries is all I am. I'll go out and I'll get us food, while Libra stays home and makes the house look pretty, or stays home and reads a book, you know, or gossips with their friend, or probably just goes out with their friends more than likely. Libra's a very, very social sign. Probably has a lot of Gemini friends that'll say all the crazy stuff that it doesn't want to say, because Libra doesn't like to outweigh the balance a lot. So a lot of times, if you're talking shit about someone or something, Libra will only express its feelings when it feels safe to. So Libra will not be the person to be like, I can't believe Becca did this, unless you start that, then they'll share that. And that's why I think Libra can actually be more two-faced than Gemini, because Gemini will be the one that initiates that kind of shit talking, and Libra will be the one that follows. But then when Libra and Gemini see that person, Gemini will be like, why did you act like this? And Libra will be like, oh, and they'll be like, no, I thought it was fine that you acted like that. Because they want to be liked. They need external validation. They need somebody to say, hey, this is okay, you're allowed to do this. So they can be major followers. They can kind of follow people blindly, look for their identity in someone else, and they need to find more autonomy in their life. However, what's nice about having Libra energy around is that they can put themselves in your shoes. They can put themselves in other people's shoes, and they do that very often. So there's an awareness and there's an understanding of other people's perspective that a lot of the other signs don't have. If you're with somebody with no Libra energy, they will completely forget about, ignore, and just fluff you away. Libra will never do that. Libra rules the lower back and the butt. Love to see you walk away. The butt is what everybody else gets to enjoy, but you don't get to enjoy, you know, because you can't see it. It's behind you. The signs that they're compatible with is the other air signs, Gemini and Aquarius. They all love little intellectual debates and gossip sessions. And the signs that they're incompatible with is Cancer, because Cancer just whines and cries all the time and tells everybody how they feel, and Libra doesn't want to do that. And then, of course, they don't like Capricorn, because Capricorn is rude and abrasive. And of course, they don't like Aries, because Aries has no tact. And they are all about tact, you know, very socialite kind of energy. Libra sun, speaking of socialite, Kim Kardashian, you know, all about what everybody thinks about her. What is she famous for? We don't even know. She's just famous for being pretty, famous for being a socialite, famous for being a visible elite. And also Bruno Mars is very much a Libra sun. I was at a job the other day. Somebody was like, you know what performer everybody would be okay with seeing? Bruno Mars. And I was like, exactly. That's Bruno Mars's role as a Libra. Everybody likes him. He's the universal pop star, kind of. Even though he's not a universal personality, that's the side of him that he shows. Libra moons, I see as like Justin Bieber. Justin Bieber, again, the everyman, but also everyone saw him as very feminine. Even though Libra's a masculine sign, I see it as like a masculine feminine sign. You know, One Less Lonely Girl, all his songs are about like love, and I'm gonna tell you one time. Also Harry Styles, ugh, very Libra moon, very much like, I wear a skirt, but it's like really a very accepted thing, you know? Like Ariana Grande too. Libras will not do anything that crazy, do anything that promiscuous, do anything that's gonna, you know, upset the balance that much. You know, kind of stay on the even keel, stay in their lane. And whenever they do anything crazy, it's never that crazy. It's just like radicalized to be, but it's like not. I know you guys are thinking like, well, Kim Kardashian had that sex tape. But was that sextile really that radical? It was pretty boring. Nothing really happened. It was very, you know, average. It's not like she's doing anything crazy. You know what I mean? Very Libra. On another side, you know, most of the time Libras have a real understanding of people and what they want, but sometimes it can be like that kind of autistic thing of looking at people through a glass wall. Like Nikola Tesla was a Libra moon. He's very, very smart, very ingenious, but he was definitely autistic, definitely had trouble with social cues, although that's Libra's focus. I have trouble with social cues, so I have to be better at them. And then also on another end, Joe Rogan is very much a Libra moon because whoever you put in front of him, he'll see that side of things. You know, he can make anybody a guest on his podcast, really. Libra rising, these are just like the pretty people of the zodiac. Like the two prettiest presidents are John F. Kennedy and Bill Clinton. Also a little bit of, you know, floozy, you know, that's very Libra as well. You know, Leonardo DiCaprio, when he was younger, was like the pretty boy, but now he just like dates younger, very Libra rising. And then also on another end, it's not always like that. Sometimes it can be like Jeffrey Dahmer. If you know anything about Jeffrey Dahmer, he wanted to be like that. He wanted a partner, but he had Aries energy to where he didn't know how to go about that, right? He felt all that kind of awkward stuff. I mean, sometimes Libra energy can do it very well. Pretty girl, pretty boy, ching, little thing. Or it can sometimes be like looking at those people through a glass wall being like, how do I be like that? You know? Scorpio, the 8th sign of the zodiac. So if Libra is the partnership, you know, partners, we post each other on Instagram, then Scorpio is the private partnership, the marriage bed, true, deep, emotional intimacy. Its glyph is again that M, but it's turned outward with that little devil horn because its expressions are very external. Now, doesn't mean that, you know, Virgo's the virgin and Scorpio's a slut. It can be switched. It can go both ways, but most of the time that's what they get pegged for. You know, Scorpio gets pegged for the whore. Scorpio gets pegged for the religious, what's it called? Blasphemous person, right? Whether they are or aren't. Its symbol is the scorpion because when it gets mad, it stings really bad and it's got poison, right? Scorpios are very vengeful. They really want to make sure that they get their way and they will go with really nefarious ways to go about it. This is a feminine sign and a lot of people are like, oh, it's a masculine sign. No. It's obviously a feminine sign. These people hold grudges like no other. This is a very introverted sign because they don't tell you what they're thinking. Taurus is predictable. You know kind of what you're going to get from them. Scorpio, very unpredictable. They never want you to know their next move. They are always plotting, always planning, always, you know, 7 steps ahead, sometimes when they don't even need to be. Very suspicious of people. And a lot of that has to do with past trauma. This sign rules trauma. You know, if Taurus is the stuff that you have, Scorpio is getting all that stuff taken away, getting all that stuff stolen from you. If Taurus is attachment, Scorpio is forced detachment, but they don't want to. That's why that when they have things, they hang on to them and they hang on to people for all that they can. Scorpios are very loyal, but however, they're not loyal in a more solid, I know that Taurus has my back kind of way. Scorpio is loyal because they've tested your loyalty and you've tested theirs because you guys both know each other's secrets, so they have to be loyal. There's more weight to the loyalty. They're loyal because you're both in on this sketchy thing together. They're loyal because that's all that you have. You know, no matter what that person's done, they can't help but stay by them. It's a water sign. People think it's a fire sign as well, and I'm like, people really don't understand Scorpio. It's obviously a water sign. It is so emotional. It's a fixed sign as well. They are fixed and stuck in their emotions. If they feel something, they feel it for years. It sticks with them for years. You know, trauma that you go through sticks with you for the rest of your life. Cancer goes, you said this to me and I'm mad about it. And Scorpio goes, you said this to me, and so I will spend my entire life getting back at you. And Scorpio also wants to make sure that you feel how they felt. Like, you made me feel like this. I need you to feel like this so you understand what that was like. Scorpio can't let anything go, can't let anything whisk past them, right? They hang on to anything for dear life. You know, Cancer is my emotions. Scorpio is our emotions. How are you feeling? How are you being affected? Scorpio reads in between the lines. Scorpio is obsessive. It's compulsive. I need to do this. It's this itch that I can't help but scratch. It's the scab, but I can't help but pick and keep bleeding over and over and over. There's a lot of mystery. There's a lot of intrigue to Scorpio. It's a very sexual sign, whether it's having sex or not. You know, Taurus I think of more as the actual act of sex. You know, it's feeling and it wants it. Scorpio is everything before and after sex. It's the sexual vibe, the sexual mystique. You know, it's everything taboo. Scorpio is we have, because Scorpio rules the 8th house, which has to do with other people's assets, passed down money. This is the money that my family has, and we keep it private and we keep it quiet. Taurus is the stuff that I have that I show you. This is my collection of cool things, you know? This is the food I made you. Scorpio is the stuff that they have hidden away, the stuff that they have yet to reveal. You know, Scorpio is what we have together. Its ruling planet is Pluto, but also Mars. Its ruling planet is Mars because it is that war strategy that I mentioned earlier with Aries. I'm going to do this and they're going to do that and then we're going to do that and we're going to send off the Aries to go fight our fight, but I'm going to come up with a strategy of how to do it. Everybody is pawns to the Scorpio, and its ruling planet is also Pluto because Pluto is all about death, regeneration, taboo, occult things, what's hidden, what's beneath the surface, all that kind of stuff. And then Scorpio rules the genitals. It rules the sexual organs. It deals a lot with sexual trauma, sexual abuse, abuse in general, trauma in general, but also sexuality in general. You know, all of our private parts, we call it private parts for a reason because Scorpio is what's hidden. Its opposite sign is Taurus, because Taurus is everything that we own in the physical and what's going on in the physical, what you're being shown, you know, my soft fabrics and enjoying that kind of stuff and indulging in life and life's luxuries. Scorpio rules deprivation. Scorpio will really deprive itself just to deprive itself. Scorpio will put itself through bad situation after bad situation just because that's all it knows. Scorpios get stuck in the same cycle over and over again, and it drives me crazy. Its compatible signs are Cancer and Pisces, as those are the other water signs, and its incompatible signs is Leo, because obviously Scorpio looks at Leo as being the star of the show and putting everything, you know, this is what I own, this is what I have, I'm flashy, da da da. Scorpio goes, that's stupid. You don't even know this shirt costs $1,000. I wouldn't even wear it, actually. I'm looking homeless when I'm actually rich. Obviously, as well, it squares Aquarius because Aquarius thinks it knows everything. Also, Aquarius is all about the community and joint efforts and all of our efforts. It's a very communal situation. It's like loyalty is to many people, whereas Scorpio's loyalty is honestly only to themselves and maybe one other person. It doesn't really like big groups. It's the rebel. It's the one that always has to say, F you. Some celebrities with Scorpio energy. Bjork is actually a triple Scorpio, which makes a lot of sense. She is the only like dark-haired person to come out of Iceland, I'm pretty sure she's mentioned, like, which is a very Scorpionic, like almost like accidentally like rebellious kind of thing. A great example of a Scorpio sun,
it's Jodie Foster,
because she was sexualized from a young age and played like that prostitute, and she has that crazy stalker, and didn't somebody like kill for her even though she didn't even ask that? All that weird ass stuff is very like Scorpio. And then also Joaquin Phoenix is a perfect example of a Scorpio sun. He was raised in a cult. He lost his brother at a very young age. He goes through a lot of pain and torture, sometimes unnecessarily, for his roles and for his life. He has those like pained, sad eyes, all that kind of stuff. A great example of a Scorpio moon is Stanley Kubrick, the director. He especially did The Shining, you know, scary movie. It makes a lot of sense, but also what he put his actors through is very Scorpio moon-esque, you know, do this again and 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 again, you know, like crazy shit like that. You know, obviously he's very psychologically like, Also Avril Lavigne, now she's got a bunch of Libra energy, which makes sense because she's like, you know, trendy and all that sort of stuff. She's turned into more Libra nowadays, but even the controversy around her, if she's like Melissa or not, is very like identity, secret, Scorpio moon. More like punk, emo stuff is very Scorpio moon, but also like hey you, I don't like your girlfriend, I think you need a new one. Scorpio loves that kind of like, I'm gonna steal your girl, I'm gonna steal your man kind of energy, you know, all those subtle undertones. And now Scorpio rising. I think Scorpio rising, the most obvious is like Edgar Allan Poe, you know, spooky stories, tortured life, all that kind of stuff. And especially like Natalie Portman and her role in Leon the Professional, like that role especially is a very Scorpio rising kid. Even like Black Swan as well, very Scorpio rising. And a lot of like philosophers and that kind of stuff have Scorpio rising, you know, Sigmund Freud, Friedrich Nietzsche, even like Sigmund Freud being in love with the mother thing, and Nietzsche like existentialism, very Scorpio rising. But sometimes it's not that deep. Sometimes it's just like James Franco playing the bad boy, you know? Very Freaks and Geeks character. Under the bleachers. Now we have Sagittarius, the 9th sign of the zodiac. Its glyph is the arrow, and its symbol is the archer because, you know, it's aiming at something higher, higher ideal, setting a goal, wanting something better, bigger, and brighter. It's also the centaur. Horses run a big theme with Sagittarius. Sagittarius just loves horses. Like, I know this is like a silly thing to say, but they do. It's a masculine sign. It's very extroverted. You know, Sagittarius is really the life of the party. But especially Sagittarius is here for a short time, not a long time. You know, YOLO, you only live once, all that kind of stuff is very Sagittarius themed. It's a fire sign, of course it is, but it's a fire sign that goes up the fastest and goes out the fastest just as well. It's a mutable sign because it's here for a little bit, there for a little bit, there for a little bit. It can have a little bit of trouble focusing for a long period of time. It can have a lot of hobbies that it started and then stopped. However, usually Sagittarius does have one thing that they devote themselves to a little bit more and want to know everything about. However, sometimes just as fast as they've devoted to it and been so hardcore and been so vocalized about it and been like that for so long, they can sometimes just as fast be like, I was wrong, and then go to the next thing, which is a very mutable energy. It's really hard to get a Sagittarius's focus, okay? Because it always wants to go into the bigger and brighter and shinier thing. Its motto is we think, which makes a lot of sense because what do we think as a collective? You know, it's very like, rah, rah, my beliefs, this is what's best for everyone, this is what I believe. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Its ruling house is the 9th house because this is the house of higher beliefs, higher ideals, community ideals. This also is a big placement concerning law, justice, politics, all that kind of stuff. Also, you have to think about politics as like bright and shiny, winning you over, salesperson. It can even be like the used car salesman kind of energy. Sagittarius also wears usually very bold and bright clothes. Like out of all the fire signs, I think Sagittarius is the most bold and the most expressive and the most shocking. I think they're the most confident because Aries is confident because they just don't know any better. Leo only pretends to be confident, but Sagittarius is actually confident. Sagittarius is the energy that when asked in interviews, you know, how did you get so confident? Sagittarius is like, I don't even know. Am I even that confident? Like, I just do what I want to do and that's it. That's very like Sagittarius confidence. Its ruling planet is Jupiter, which is, of course it is. It's the planet of luck, of expansion, you know, of karma. What goes around comes around. It's all about expanding your mind, learning something new, expanding your brain to new cultures. It's all about travel, traveling to new places and knowing everybody there, or at least making friends with everybody there, you know, brightening up a room. It's a very expressive, big energy. Usually these are tall people, big people, or in the very least, their personality is so big that you can't help but notice them. Its opposite sign is Gemini because Gemini is all about the little things and Sagittarius is all about the big picture, okay? Sagittarius has a lot of trouble with the little details. That is why it is not compatible with Virgo, which is all about the little details and the little rules. Sagittarius does not concern itself with that, does not care about that. Of course, it's also opposite Gemini because it's so mercurial. Mercurial is all about thinking and this and da-da-da-da-da. And Sagittarius is a very smart sign. It's a very intellectual sign, but it's more about broad intellect. General study. Sagittarius is the perpetual student. Sagittarius is known for wanting to go back to school at all ages, at all times, to learn more. It has a very big appetite. In fact, sometimes it can overdo things. It can overdo its luck. This is a big gambling energy. You know, this is a big risk-taking energy because most of the time things turn out okay for the Sagittarius, but sometimes the Virgo, Pisces, and Gemini around them need to pick up the pieces of the stuff that, you know, they're not really doing because they're so focused on the big picture or the big win or whatever it might be. Sagittarius also squares Pisces because Pisces is all about our emotions. Pisces is all about these subtle tones and all that kind of stuff, where Sagittarius isn't really worried about that. It's worried about the here and the now. It's another sign that's very much in the present moment. And it doesn't really care if it steps on anyone's toes. It doesn't really care if it offends people. It doesn't want to hurt anybody. Sagittarius wants to do only good, but it doesn't really care if it offends anybody. And Pisces gets very offended very easily. You know, Sagittarius is a big jokester, a very jovial energy. And it's compatible with the other fire signs, which is Aries and Leo. Sagittarius rules the thighs. Usually Sagittarius can have thicker thighs because of all the delicacies that they love to indulge in. Some celebrities with this energy, Sagittarius suns. We have, I think, a perfect example to bring more Jersey Shore into this, I'm sorry, is Snooki. She's got a bunch of Sagittarius energy, and the first night that she's at the house, she just gets too drunk. But then at the end of it, she's like, finally, everybody likes me and they see that I'm a great person. You know, very Sagittarius. You know, even her big hair, you know, her bold outfits, leopard print, all that sort of stuff is very Sagittarius. Brad Pitt, I think, is a good example of like your everyman Sagittarius, if that makes sense, where he's just got this like kind of luck that guides him everywhere, and he plays very Sagittarius-like characters. Another perfect example of Sagittarius sun and also Sagittarius rising is Jimi Hendrix, a master at the guitar. Sagittarius can really master one skill and do it amazing and know the ins and outs of all of it, and just kind of like bestowed this gift by Zeus or God, you know, however you want to say it. And that's very Jimi Hendrix, especially in the way that he dresses, he expresses himself, he's very bold, the things that he says, all very Sagittarius. Sagittarius moon. Now, Sagittarius moon I find to be, with females, they tend to be a little bit more calm and a little bit more chill, actually, out of all the Sagittarius energy. I think of like Hilary Duff and Jennifer Aniston, just kind of like happy, you know, we were very lucky, everyone likes us. Sagittarius moon. But also, I think of with men, it's more like Scott Disick and Donald Trump. Very funny, memeable personalities. They're actually both Gemini suns. I didn't mean to do that. They're very bold, very haphazard, but they're just like there for the entertainment reality show purposes. Sagittarius can also have trouble with long-term thinking and long-term planning, for sure. Sagittarius rising, a perfect example is Elvis Presley with his like crazy outfits and like very sexual and his like his whole thing. Bob Marley can be the other end of Sagittarius, very peace, very like world peace, happiness, weed, all that sort of stuff. But sometimes it can just be like Anne Hathaway, where she's just got like this big smile and very approachable and very friendly, very likable. Also, I think of like Nelly Furtado is like a lot of pop stars have Sagittarius energy. You know, her song, I'm Like a Bird. I'm like a bird and they fly away. Like Sagittariuses want freedom. You know, they probably have that bird outside of the cage tattoo because you can't cage this bird that's a Sagittarius. And now the 10th sign, Capricorn. I'm a Capricorn, Capricorn sun and moon. I've got a Capricorn stellium. Hello. So the glyph for the Capricorn is really frustrating because it's two different glyphs. And I just use this one because this is the one I like more, but it's supposed to represent, the symbol is half goat, half sea creature. I actually have it right here and I have the symbol that I like right there. And I think it frustrates Capricorn that we have two different glyphs because Capricorns like things to be, you know, solid, practical, to the point, no fluff, reasonable, and having two glyphs is the most unreasonable thing ever. But also Capricorn is all about climbing that mountain, being that mountain goat, persevering and getting over challenges. And so it's almost like they gave us the challenge of having two glyphs just to laugh in our face because we're Capricorns and we're all miserable little shitheads. So the fact that it's also half goat, half sea creature, the point of that is that it can do both things really well, you know, walk and swim, but it can do neither great. And as I mentioned, the theme of Capricorn is hurdles, life's challenges. Capricorn is all about great and grand achievement, being the boss, creating something tangible and physical because it's an earth sign that will last the test of time. Capricorn is all about, you know, being an icon, leaving a legacy. However, it's not without strife and hardship. Capricorn works so hard for everything it wants and everything it gets, and it puts in a lot more time and energy and effort than, like, let's say the Sagittarius that was just born with it or gets that good luck or is just given that path. Capricorn is a feminine energy. A lot of people don't think this because Capricorn rules the father traditionally. However, Capricorn is feminine because it's a very introverted sign. It's all about its work, its achievements, and its studies. And it's also all about building a foundation, building stability, and building, in some ways, security. It doesn't need things to be as secure as Taurus. I wouldn't say it's as scared as Taurus because Capricorn has gone through a lot of hardships that it's kind of ready for anything, but it does like security in the sense of long-term planning and future-oriented. It's also a sign that can future trip a lot. Sagittarius is very good at living in the moment and living in the present. Capricorn lives pretty much predominantly in the future. I want to build my future, get ready for retirement, for my future generations. I want to do this, all that kind of stuff. It is an earth sign because it is very work-based. It is a very grounded energy. It wants to see things from a very realistic perspective. However, Capricorn can be very melancholic. Sagittarius is very optimistic and positive. So Capricorn is very melancholic and negative. It doesn't rule extreme depression like Scorpio because Scorpio is a water sign and Capricorn doesn't have time for depression because that would just be laying around thinking it's lazy. But it does have this real melancholic sort of undertone to it because it does live so much in reality. It does live so much in, well, this is the reality of the situation, and most of the time the reality of the situation is pretty miserable. It is a cardinal sign because it is all about moving forward and setting goals. Its motto is "We achieve." Usually it's got a bunch of people behind them, backing them, achieving greatness. Rome wasn't built in a day is a very Capricorn-like motto. Capricorn chisels away and picks at something day by day and works at it. And it can get very bitter because it sees everybody else winning the race a lot faster. If Sagittarius is the hare, Capricorn is the tortoise. No, Sagittarius I think comes out on top too, so that's not what I'm trying to say. In the end, Capricorn only wants to achieve success if it feels earned. Capricorn has a lot to do with karma, not in the way that Sagittarius or Scorpio does, but in the way of life karma, work karma. Scorpio rules with emotional karma, cyclical trauma, like cycles, you know. Sagittarius rules karma and I give you this, I get this back. And Capricorn rules karma and I put this work in, I get this reward back. It rules the father. The father goes out and he works and provides for the family. And he comes home and he gets to see all that has come to fruition because of that. And he gets to see his kids enjoy it. Capricorn goes through a lot of hardships so the people below him can enjoy and revel in it. However, that does create some bitterness in Capricorn because Capricorn goes through a lot more to get what they want and deserve than the other signs. Capricorn rules the 10th house or the midheaven. This is the highest point of your chart. This is the public persona. This is what you want to make out of life. We do not get into our 10th house until we are around the age of 30. You know, if you've heard the phrase Saturn return, Saturn rules Capricorn. And so it makes sense that the Saturn return when we're 30, we go through this midlife crisis, we go through this big turning point in our lives. That is a very Capricornian theme. Sometimes people call the 10th house as the second ascendant because it's how you're seen from far away. This is what I do as my job. This is what I've achieved. This is how we see people on a public platform. That is the 10th house, also very Capricorn. Its opposite sign or sister sign is Cancer. Cancer is all about its feelings. Capricorn does not have time for feelings, okay? Capricorn is very, like I said, straight to the point, no bullshit, does not sugarcoat anything, does not change anything to make your feelings happier. Nobody treated Capricorn like that. Nobody coddles Capricorn like they coddle Cancer. Capricorn had to grow up from a very young age, had to mature from a very young age and grow up quickly. So there can be a very staunch side to their personality, a very cut and dried side to them. It's compatible with Taurus and Virgo, the other earth signs, and it is incompatible with Aries because Aries is just like tactless and just goes about things without thinking, and Capricorn goes, why don't you not think things through? It is also incompatible with Libra because Libra is so concerned with what everybody thinks of it and needs a partnership and needs all these frivolous things that Capricorn just does not care about. Capricorn thinks that's embarrassing. Libra is more concerned with how everybody thinks of them, the social rules, social etiquette, and Capricorn is concerned more about work etiquette, more concerned about what their work colleagues think of them, and can be very non-relationship oriented, can be very business transactional oriented. And obviously its opposite is Cancer. Capricorn rules the knees. Most Capricorns tend to have bad knees, actually, because the knees, you know, you're trudging up the mountain and you're using your legs, you're using your knees. I actually love to tap. It's also a stupid thing to like because nobody cares about tapping. Very Capricorn, having a useless talent. Now let's go into some celebrities with this energy. So Capricorn Sun, hi, me, I'm one. But also I think a great example is Nicolas Cage and even the movie, The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. And just being that like, oh, I'm just so talented can kind of be sometimes like a Capricornistic ego, because we do want to master that one thing that we're great at and like work our way to it. And then there can be a little bit of a braggadocious attitude. However, also he mentions like there is a subtle undertone of gothicness to Capricorn. There's like a darkness to it. It's different than Scorpio, but it's still there. Also, the fact that he was like so on a pedestal and everybody loved him and then all of a sudden everybody turned against him. That can usually be what happens with Capricorn reputation. Also, David Bowie is a great example, I think, of a Capricorn. I was born on his birthday. And there can be a creativity to Capricorn that a lot of people forget about. However, sometimes that creativity is more like Amazon with Jeff Bezos. Of course, he's a Capricorn. He owns the industry giant that is Amazon, and we know his name. That's very Capricorn. Also, Nostradamus is also a Capricorn, and I wanted to mention this because people don't think Capricorn lends itself to, you know, mystical stuff, but because we're so grounded in reality and we have such a strong pattern recognition, it can really lend itself towards that kind of things, just in a very practical application. Now for Capricorn Moon, also me. But also I think a great example is Jeffree Star, also somebody that's loved, hated. That's a big theme. But he's always been himself, first of all, but also a very big Capricorn Moon and Capricorn energy theme is, you know, wanting to get famous, wanting to be in the spotlight, and then once you've done that, running away, hiding, and starting a yak farm. Very Capricorn Moon. Another example of Capricorn Moon is Azalea Banks, also hated, but nobody can deny her talent, and that is Capricorn. When you have so much talent that even though everyone hates you, they all say you're a really great rapper and you're amazing at what you do. Very Capricorn. I love her. They're also just so much themselves, so blatantly and honestly them. Very Capricorn. Now Capricorn rising, ugh, don't like this placement as much. Kylie Jenner's very much a Capricorn rising, like, I am a businesswoman, you know, but when she talks, she just kind of talks like this and she's very like monotone and like has no expression. Very Capricorn. On another end, like Gwen Stefani, I feel like her outfits and her vibe and ska, very Capricorn rising, but she's a Cancer moon and I feel like as she's gotten older, she's just been her Cancer moon. Also, I just want to mention that Zooey Deschanel is a triple Capricorn, very like quirky, small features, all that kind of stuff. Now we are on to Aquarius, the 11th sign of the zodiac. So Aquarius's glyph looks like water and its symbol is the water bearer. So you might think it must be a water sign, but it's not. It's actually an air sign because it does not have the water itself. It does not have the emotions itself. It simply gives them out to the people. Aquarius has a major God complex about it. I give you the knowledge. I give you the wisdom that is the water. And it can also be very detached and very dehumanizing a little bit. It's an air sign. It's all about intellect. It's all about sharing the information, giving the information out to everyone, bestowing it upon you. It's very community oriented. Aquarius very much rules the table that we sit at. Oh, I'm a part of this clique. Oh, I'm the emos and goths. Oh, I'm the nerds. Oh, I'm the jocks. Oh, I'm the cheerleaders. What table you sit at is very much Aquarius energy. Aquarius is a masculine sign. I think of it as more like masculine feminine because it's all about exchanging ideas. Aquarius is fixed though. So it's very much like, you know, Gemini is like my ideas, like seeing things from every angle. Libra is seeing things from two angles. Aquarius is seeing things from one angle, theirs. What's weird about Aquarius though is as set in its ways that it is, it can be very flaky. It can be so set on one side and one opinion for so long and rally that. And it's very like political and, you know, I vote for this, I stand for this, and I'm going to shout it to the rooftop. It rules protests and all that kind of stuff. But then it can kind of all of a sudden switch because it does have a weird bit of ego to it because it is the water bearer and it does have a God complex that it can be very industry-ish, if that makes sense. Like, oh, I'm all for the little person when that benefits me, and I'm all the rebel when that benefits me, but now that I'm more popular and famous, I'm on the elite side, and so now I'm gonna switch sides and pretend to be this. You know, it can kind of have that kind of nature. Oh, I've been on this side for so long, and all you guys are stupid for not seeing this, and then all of a sudden it switches and goes, no, actually now I'm smart because I'm on this side, and I was stupid for not thinking that, and you guys are stupid. Like, it's very like set in its perspective. Whereas Gemini is like, oh, I see kind of why this person would think this and why this person would think this. Aquarius can't see that end of things at all. It's a fixed sign. It only sees things through its lens. However, it is very smart. It is very intellectual. It has a very quick mind. It can study and pick up on something and be very devoted to it. It usually wants to rally for a cause or some greater good. As I've mentioned, it all is about ensemble work. So alone, we can do nothing, but together in an ensemble, we can work together and lead the way to victory or whatever it might be. However, it wants to be the leader of that cause, you know, the head person of that thing. And Aquarius wants to be different. It wants to be unique. It wants to be somehow different from the crowd. It wants to be the leader of the crowd, so it wants to separate itself from that crowd. However, you know, there's obvious Aquarius energy in Gen Z. There's quite a bit of it. So everybody wants to be different, but in being different, everybody kind of winds up being the same, if that makes sense. Aquarius is we love, right? Aquarius rules cults. You know, it rules group activities. Incompatible with Taurus for a reason. Taurus is like, I love this one person, this one thing, and I'm devoted to it for forever. But Aquarius is like, I love you all. I love all my fans, but you don't know your fans individually. Well, I love all of them. You know, it's kind of this universal group love. Aquarius rules like open relationships, while Taurus and Scorpio and Leo rule monogamy. Aquarius rules group love, but there's kind of a detachment, right? With every cult leader, I love all my followers, but there's kind of a detachment to the individuals. They kind of use people to get what they want and to get their message across, but it's really slightly to get what they want across. Aquarius is the weirdo. It's the unique one. A lot of times it's the antithesis just to be the antithesis. Oh, you said this? Well, I don't want to do what you say. It's a fixed sign. It's stubborn. I don't want to do what you say, so I'm going to do the opposite just because you said this. But does it really want to do the opposite, or is it just doing the opposite to be different, to be the antithesis? You know, it rules the 11th house, which again kind of rules, I can't find the right word for this. When people have 11th house stuff, they usually tend to be very famous, but they tend to be famous because of the people that they know. Capricorn is famous because of the quality of work and what they've achieved. Aquarius is famous because the people that they know and who they associate with. Like, that's why it's we love. And Aquarius can be a very robotic placement. Ruling planets are Saturn and Uranus. Saturn because there is a lot of hardship and a lot of, like I said, dehumanization that comes with Aquarius. You know, it's hard to be the odd one out. It's hard to be the one that doesn't fit in. It's very isolating. That's very Saturn. And it's also ruled by Uranus because Uranus is chaos, Uranus is change, Uranus is revolution, and that is everything Aquarius. Its opposite sign is Leo because Leo is like me, and Aquarius is us. But in reality, Leo looks at Aquarius and says, you're more egotistical than I am because you don't even say it. And Aquarius looks at Leo as leading a group better than Aquarius sometimes because Leo is just them. Aquarius sometimes has trouble just being authentically them. They feel obligated to fit into the group that they say they so despise. Aquarius will say, I don't fit in, but then they'll associate themselves with all the bands that don't fit in, that everybody else also associates themselves with. You know, Aquarius is the definition of, do you even listen to that band that's on your t-shirt, or do you just wear it because it's cool? Aquarius is both sides, wearing the t-shirt because it's cool and calling the person out for just wearing the t-shirt. Both sides are Aquarius. It's compatible with Gemini and Libra, the other air signs, and it's incompatible with Taurus, as I've mentioned, and also Scorpio, because Scorpio sees Aquarius as very fickle with their love. Scorpio is very devoted. I'm with this person through the thick and the thin. No matter what they do, I will stand beside them, even if I disagree with them. Taurus can be a little bit that way as well, and Aquarius isn't that way. Aquarius can detached, and Aquarius can be very, you know, Aquarius gets the phrase detached, alien, all that kind of stuff, because they have a lot of trouble feeling like they're of this world and feeling like they're in their body. Scorpio and Taurus are so sat in their body, and also it's opposite to Leo. Aquarius rules the calves. Have fun figuring that one out, because they want to be weird, so they rule the weird random part of their body, right? No, I was kidding. So let's go with celebrities that have this Aquarius energy. So a great, really relevant example is Julia Fox. All her outfits are super Aquarius, but her opinions are radical, but they're also very much with the times. Also, a lot of people keep saying you should run for president, very Aquarius. Also, I would like to say that she's especially famous, like she's not only famous for this, but I know of her because she dated Kanye West for a month, and it does feel like very Aquarius when I've heard her talk about it. It kind of felt like a way to just kind of like boost her fame, even though she knew it wasn't gonna last. Very Aquarius, using people, stepping on people to get to the top. How can I use you? How can you use me? Also, I think a great example of an Aquarius sun is Chris Rock, just because of his show. Everybody hates Chris. That sentiment, everybody hates me, is very Aquarian. Ugh, you know? Aquarius moon. Okay, there is a type of Aquarius moon celebrity that I just want to point out to you right now that nobody talks about. Britney Spears, Trisha Paytas, Marilyn Monroe. All Aquarius moons. I know that Britney Spears and Marilyn Monroe don't know of Trisha Paytas, but they all have that like blonde bombshell kind of look. They have some psychiatric problems, which is definitely very Aquarius. Can kind of feel insane and very like rules a psych ward and, you know, all that kind of stuff. All Aquarius moons tend to always be on some kind of mental health medicine, but they're icons. They're all icons in their own way. Aquarius creates icons. Speaking of icon, Princess Diana, people's princess, very Aquarius, but it can go the other way. Charles Manson. I think people really mistake Charles Manson and don't understand a lot about him. I think I want him to be my next like true crime astrology person when I get to him. He has created a cult in his own way. And also Billie Eilish, you know, especially when she was blonde, she kind of looks like the other blonde bombshells I was mentioning, but like, oh, I'm weird, oh, I'm breathy, oh, and it's like, how weird are you really if you're like the most popular #1 person? Like, you're obviously really relatable, Aquarius moon. I think the perfect example of an Aquarius rising is Nicki Minaj, just because she's like very like braggadocious, like I'm better than you, very much like, if I'm gonna be a bitch, I'm gonna be a bitch kind of energy, very confident Aquarius. But in reality, I've talked to somebody that worked with her as a backup dancer, and she's very insecure. Aquarius is very, very insecure. Just like Leo, they need everybody else to tell them that what they're doing is cool and great, but they can't have everybody tell them what they're doing is cool and great. It has to be split. It has to be more people think what they're doing is cool and great, but there needs to be a certain percentage that makes them controversial, but only a small percentage. If it's too many, then they get too insecure. And I always heard that Nicki Minaj does not want anybody as a backup dancer that's prettier than her or taller than her or more talented than her. All right. Finally, we're on the 12th sign. I have never talked more in my life. I did not expect this video to be this long and this exhausting, but here we are, the 12th sign of Pisces. Finally, I'm exhausted, and so is Pisces from taking in everybody and everything's emotions day in and day out. I feel it, Pisces. So the glyph is two fishies. It's supposed to be two fishes moving away from each other, whatever, but that's what the symbol is as well. Just because, you know, fish, water sign. It's a feminine energy. It's a feminine energy. It's very, very, very introverted. Pisces is a highly creative, highly artistic sign. If Virgo is everything of this world, Pisces is everything not of this world. You've seen that we've been slowly kind of expanding and expanding, and Aquarius is like the grand community as a whole. So Pisces is everything beyond that. It's everything not of this world. Everything that we cannot see, everything we cannot make out. It is not my emotions. It is not our emotions. It is everyone's emotions and the emotional undercurrent of life. It is a water sign by far. It is very creative, highly intuitive. It also rules things like escapism, drugs and substances, indulging in that kind of thing, because it has a lot of trouble with being present and being in this world. It's obviously a very mutable sign. It's very changeable, very adaptable, and it has to adapt to its environment every day because its environment is not this world. It's of the mystical world. And so for it to exist in this world is very hard for it. Its motto is "we serve." We serve as an entity, this higher being. Pisces is a very religious, mystical placement. You know, we are in the age of Pisces. Jesus Christ is, you know, it's the fishy thing for a reason. Jesus Christ is the martyr. He served his society, right? That is a very Piscean quality. You know, I want to help the poor. I want to help the ill. I want to help everyone. I want to serve everyone. That is Piscean nature. It is ruled by the 12th house. The 12th house is, again, everything hidden, our subconscious, the world that goes on in here, ghosts, mysteries. You know, the ocean is so deep we haven't even discovered most of it. That's very Piscean. You know, the waters run very, very deep here. Its ruling planets are Jupiter and Neptune. Jupiter because there is a lot of karma and a lot of karmic debt that comes with Pisces, and a lot of overdoing things, overindulging is very common with Sagittarius and Pisces. You know, Pisces are kind of the drug addicts of the zodiac. Neptune also is its ruling planet because Neptune is everything spiritual, everything mystical, everything that we cannot see, all life's hidden mysteries, you know? Its opposite sign is of course Virgo, because Virgo is all about rules, and Pisces could not follow rules if they tried, because that doesn't make any sense to me. If Virgo rules the black and white area, Pisces rules the gray area. You know, Pisces also has a big problem with being too much of a martyr and too much in everybody else's emotions. You know, I walked into a room and I felt the emotional weight of it. I felt these people's emotions. You know, it's introverted, it's a feminine sign because it has trouble going outside because it feels everything and it's so reactive and so responsive, and it takes on everybody's weight. So much so that it can kind of have trouble separating itself from the collective unconscious. Pisces will be a great shoulder to cry on until they start to feel your emotion, and then they need to be helped. They need to be coddled as well. You know, you're feeling sad, so I'm feeling sad. You're sick, so I'm sick. It can really take on everybody else's pain and suffering as its own, which can sometimes kind of be frustrating because the life of a Pisces can be okay, but it can just be suffering so much because of these unseen, felt undertone rhythms of life. It's compatible with the other water signs, Cancer and Scorpio, and it is incompatible with Gemini, of course, because Pisces can be kind of stupid. It can have trouble with like math and like basic things like that, whereas Gemini is very quick, very like, and so is Sagittarius, very quick, very right? Pisces is like, what time is it? Oh, I'm late. Oh, I don't even know what's going on, right? Gemini, Virgo, and Sagittarius are like, come on, we're in the moment, we're in the here and the now. And Pisces is like, what's that mean? You know? Pisces rules the feet. Pisces have a big foot fetish usually most of the time. Pisces celebrities. A perfect Pisces sun example is Kurt Cobain. Oh, I roll my eyes at him, honestly. I know you guys don't, but I do. Ooh. Blah, blah, blah. Sad, boring music. Oh, drugs. It's kind of how I see Pisces, sorry. If you like him, then you'll be happy he's a Pisces. Also, Erykah Badu, very like Pisces sun, Pisces moon, like peace, music, feel it, you know, all that kind of stuff. But also sometimes it can just be like JWoww, like partying. You know, Pisces can kind of love everyone, like we serve. It can be like universal love. And so it can have trouble with committed relationships because it loves you and it falls for you and oh, it's so dreamy, and then it turns around and falls for you just as much in the same vein. And you know, it can be a little bit uncommitted, which is a very mutable energy. All the mutable signs have kind of trouble with commitment. Pisces moons. Sometimes it can just be like Kesha. Kesha's also Pisces sun, Pisces moon. Woke up in the morning with a bottle of Jack, brushing my teeth, and I know that's not the right lyrics, but I wanted to censor it. You know, very Kesha, like, disheveled, but also she went through her own story of a lot of abuse and a lot of trouble. You know, being taken advantage of can be a very big theme of Pisces. Also, Aleister Crowley's a Pisces moon, and he's like, you know, spiritual guy, created magic with the K, but very Piscean. You know, Pisces have a natural knack for things like astrology, being psychic, superstitions, all that sort of metaphysical stuff. They just have a natural inclination and a knack for just knowing things before they happen. Pisces rising Johnny Cash. I call him the sad guy just because he's so sad. He lives such a sad life. He's got a lot of Scorpio and Pisces energy. I think he's also a Pisces sun, and he's just a sad guy who's really musically gifted, who did too many drugs and lived a cowboy life. Very Pisces Scorpio. Also, we have Jimmy Fallon, the Pisces rising, because he just laughs at everybody's jokes. And he's like, you're funny and everybody's funny and haha. Like, it can kind of have that like everyman kind of Piscean, can be like whatever you want them to be kind of quality. Oh, I don't know what you are, so I think you're like this. There's a lot of projection that comes with Pisces. Oh, I think you're like this. And then they're like, okay, I guess I'm this. And then the person gets mad because they're not that and they thought they were. You know, a lot of identity issues comes with Pisces for sure. Betty Page is a Pisces rising. A lot of people say I look like, you know, I give a very, Betty Page vibe because my midheaven is in Pisces. Same with Kristen Ritter. A lot of people say I look like the girlfriend in Breaking Bad, you know. You know, it can be that very like, oh, everybody's fantasy kind of situation, but it's just mostly identity issues more than anything. And also Pisces deals with neglect a lot. There's a lot of neglectful themes around Pisces, like you were neglected, you neglected your family, you neglected things, because it's not of this world, so it's not really aware of what's going on in this world. Also, you know, drug themes can cause neglect. A lot of mental health problems as well, you know, being in a psych ward, all that kind of stuff can come with Pisces. Being on a lot of drugs and medication and struggles in this world can definitely be Pisces, but very artistic, very creative. And I will also have to say, I think they're the laziest sign because they are the most, in my opinion, most naturally talented, being ruled by Jupiter and Neptune. But it was like God made you lazy because if you didn't, you'd be too powerful, is like my thought. All right, that is the 12 zodiac signs. That was the most talking I think I have ever done for one of these videos, and probably my longest video to date. That was exhausting. I really was not ready for that, but I hope that you enjoyed. I hope that I helped you learn about the 12 zodiac signs in astrology. Let me know if you have any questions down below. I'm sure there's so much stuff about the signs that I missed out on, but this was just kind of a beginner to intermediate level course in the 12 zodiac signs. Leave your thoughts down below about anything that I might have missed out on. I'd love for you to contribute to the conversation. Again, I sell birth chart readings on my website, shainaemily.com. I've been very active on my TikTok at shaina.emily, and I have a personal Instagram. Thank you so much for watching, and if you stayed this long, leave a psychic ball emoji at the bottom because thank you, you're an MVP. All right, thanks again for watching. Bye!